Mysterialis Ghost Investigation. MGI Mysterialis. Get yourself a t-shirt.
Live stream. Thank you for watching. I'm John Razimus. All right. Okay. So let's stop sharing and see if anyone can see this. I hope it's not on private. Can anyone see this broadcast? Or am I on private? All right. Can anyone hear the song? Was it low? Was the song low? No audio. Is it good? All right. So this is the song that two amazing supporters of the show created to help me spread awareness about t-shirts and the show and whatnot. And the t-shirts, they don't fund me on any great level, but they're a great motivator. All right. The song was low. Okay. Well, I apologize for that. I'm on max volume for me, but it might be because I have only the microphone. Let me see if I can adjust the sounds. I'm John Razimus. In this live stream, I will be sharing the winners of the 10K subscriber contest. The deadline was many hours ago yesterday. So I advertised it for a good 3 weeks. I mentioned it in 3 videos. You had to watch 3 videos, and it probably took 3 minutes or less to get the answers to the questions. Let me see if I can allow maybe the stereo mix to be enabled. Ah! All right, what happened? Did anyone hear that? Okay, maybe because my microphone wasn't muted. Well, I'm still working out the glitches on playing songs, That is not easy to figure out. All right, the famous, prestigious magician, illusionist extraordinaire. I'm surprised he's watching the show, but David Blaine, who froze himself in a block of ice for a couple days there, has a question. Feel free to ask any questions. I'm going to be going to a random name picker pretty soon live to show you that I'm not rigging it. I'm using actually the exact same website I used back during my 5K contest. It's on classtools.net. It's called Random Name Picker. I've scoured the internet and haven't found a better one. So just going to use that one again. No big deal. All right. So what's your question? When is your Corners of Rooms book released? Well, that's a good question. As early as this year, as late as 2020 would be my guess. as early as 2019, as late as 2020. I know that's a pretty bad timetable, but to be honest, I'm going to be having a GoFundMe type situation. If that doesn't pull through, I'll probably try to get a loan or something, because when you order hardback, high quality custom cover books, the minimum order is like 500. Even if I can find someone that sells only 100, it's going to be a good amount of money per book. The local university sells soft cover, I think, for $20 a book. Soft cover, $20 a book. And that would be some type of last resort. But I don't want soft cover. I want a nice hard cover. I've already designed the cover. I've already designed a lot of things. And I'm a perfectionist, but I'm willing to go to Office Max and print up some stapled, really cheap version of a booklet I'm making on how to compel spirits to reveal themselves on ghost investigations. And hopefully even that can help generate enough for me to get the Corners of Rooms order in. But that's my goal so far. I'm going to go through AliExpress, most likely. Self-publish, no big deal. I don't want to go to one of those instant publisher companies, because they go straight to China and they mark it up. I might as well go straight to AliExpress. If American companies were reasonable, I'd go straight to them. But I want hardcover custom, and that's the answer to that. But yeah, $15,000 to get it going. Yeah, it's not cheap. It's pretty expensive. All right, so I'm glad people are here and you can see this. I might invite people onto the live stream, but first I have to go through the list of the, let's see here. I'm going to share right now. We're going to be sharing right now, screen share. Here we have, can you see this? It is the, I had it preloaded, so it doesn't matter. To be honest, there are only 7 entrants to the contest. You know, I have 10,000 subscribers, and hundreds of people watched the 3 videos of me mentioning the contest. I posted it all over the place. I posted the details in a video. I posted it on my channel. I posted it, you can see that there. You can see this. These are my videos. All right. But I posted it on my, whoops. All right. Some of these things maybe shouldn't be shared. Here's my t-shirts. And concerning t-shirts, the first place grand prize winner will win 1 t-shirt of their choice. So when you win, you're going to want to go to my Teespring and tell me which t-shirt. And to be honest, you have to pick a t-shirt. You can't get a sweater. It's a little bit more expensive. It's $29.99. The t-shirts are $19.99. And the reason I will be ordering them, unless you want to get it for yourself, I have a lot of great supporters that have already ordered. Like this one has been ordered, this one, this one, this one, a couple of the Robert Johnson inspired ones, a couple of the brand new logo. And I can show you off the bat. Let's see. I can show you what the t-shirts look like. Let me give you some examples. This is the brand new one. Mysterialis Ghost Investigation. The logo I designed from scratch. I even designed the font from scratch. You have to think of everything when it comes to a custom logo. But that font, I invented it. And that is the Mysterialis official logo. Let me talk about the logo a little bit. You know, I look at it upside down, and I'm like, is there any secret meaning? There's no secret meaning. There's no secret meaning. Kind of looks like a crown, but it's not supposed to be there. it's supposed to be teeth, but this is supposed to be a mountain, and then like a yin yang exact mirror. I don't have to turn it around; they're identical, but two mountains, and in between, it's the crossroads of the dimensions, and the crossroads isn't a physical street with a physical sign. It's just a dimensional area where occasionally a spirit's presence can be seen, witnessed, experienced. And here is the Robert Johnson t-shirt. You can choose that one, this one. As a matter of fact, if you're a female, and I don't have female t-shirts, I only have these men's t-shirts, I understand. So if you want me to custom put up there petite, extra small, or whatever the case in women's and not men's, or I can add more selections. I'm actually working on adding beanies and hats and all over print t-shirts. It's not an advertisement, although I guess it is to an extent, but it helps the channel stay alive. All right, stop sharing. It's a little confusing, but I'm gonna be showing. Only 7 people. All right, only 7 of you went to my 3 videos, clicked, and answered the questions. The questions were, what's the mountain in this video? K2 is the name of the mountain in the video where I announced there's going to be a 10,000 subscribers contest. And then the second question was, what name do I zoom up on the Comedy Store Ghost Investigation? That video is equivalent of me staying at a hotel for 2 nights. I couldn't afford a third night, sleeping in my car for the third night, and I slept in my car for a 4th night. But I stayed. We're talking 7. It's closer to 6 p.m. to 3 a.m. October 1st, 2nd, and 3rd of last year, I was at the Comedy Store. I really wanted to get a sense of the ghost. The ghost was very, very secretive. It didn't want me to notice its existence. So it didn't want to jump out. But then again, everyone was watching the comedians perform. So it's understandable. You really have to be in pitch black and as few humans as possible before a spirit will become comfortable enough to move an object, creak a corner of the room, and other things. There is an investigation from 2011 where you can hear footsteps in what sounds like the upstairs. Okay, but on that video, I zoomed in on Harland Williams. That's the answer to that question. One of my favorite comedians. And the third question for the contest was, what is the first thing that I read from this booklet? Right here, a little booklet on telepathy by L.W. DeLawrence. And I believe phantasms was the first word I was talking about. And so those are the 3 answers. Everyone who entered successfully answered the questions. I don't think they were complicated. I was going to make it really complicated, but I decided to make it pretty easy. Only 7 people entered, which is good because in past contests, only a couple people wanted the prizes. So I wanted to have a buffer. First place gets to choose a t-shirt from my Teespring. Please let me know if you want a specific different shirt that's not on there. I can change the colors to an extent. It's not that difficult. I will order them because it's my Teespring. I can get a slight discount. And most definitely the winners, you all emailed me, and I'm going to keep your names and your emails confidential, and of course your addresses. But the winners, if you want to get the prizes after you win, you're going to have to send me your address, postal box, whatever the case. And So let me go to the random name picker. All right. A random name picker. Here we go. Here we go. I just have to double check, make sure everyone can see this. Okay. All right. So yeah, it appears everyone can see this. You can see my cursor. So here are the entrants. This is the order in which these individuals, great supporters of the show, answer the questions. Matthew G, Maria V, Sam S, Brandon Y. I wonder who that is. I have no clue, you know. Cat C, Matthew F, and C Biscuit. So these are the 7 entrants. And to be honest, I'm going to read this thing right here. But every single 7 of you have already won. You've already won at least 2nd place. Everyone wins 2nd place off the bat. But there's only going to be 2 first place winners. So 2 first place winners and 5 second place winners. The first name that I pick is going to be a first place. And the last name that is randomly selected, actually, I'm not picking it. The last name is going to be a first place. And the ones in the middle are going to be second place. I decided that's how it's going to go. So let's play the game. The first one to land on the spinning thing will be the first place, and the last one will be first place as well. Everyone else is second place. You've already won. Feel free to send your information you want me to mail. I'm going to have to order the t-shirts for the first place winners. What are the second place winners going to get? I'll tell you that after I spin. Let's spin it up. Let's see. Who is a grand prize winner? Sam S. Okay. So Sam S., your first place, you won a vinyl record, Countach. You won a t-shirt. So tell me which t-shirt you would like. And in addition to that, the second place winners, and let's just go through. I'm going to have to remove. Let me write this down. Let me make a list. So Sam is first place. All right. Okay. Matthew F is second place. C Biscuit, second place. Matthew G, second place. Cat C, second place. Maria V, second place. And this is 100%. We don't know who's going to win. We don't know. It's up in the air at this point. Brandon Y is first place. All right. So that is the random results. It's not pre-programmed. It's 100% random. Everyone else is second place. I will have future contests in the future, and everything other than the vinyl record from Shooter Jennings said I happened to buy 3 copies, and I don't need them. I specifically bought them for a contest. I didn't know if it was going to be a different kind of contest, but they were on sale, and now they're higher value. And so I happen to have 2 records, but Brandon and Sam are the 2 first place winners. Everyone else is second place. Let's see what you will win. I can now I can stop sharing and show you what you're going to win. Okay. So Brandon and Sam, you've won your choice of a t-shirt. Go to my Teespring and tell me what color, what size. I can even change it. It's not that difficult. If you want to, like a blue, if you want it to be in red, whatever the case. And I happen to have 2 extra copies of Countach. Now, here are the 2 sealed copies right here. Right here and right here. These are the 2 sealed copies. I happen to have them. I collect vinyl records. I like to collect limited edition colored ones, and they're pink. And these are the 2 that I'm going to mail to Sam and Brandon, but this is mine, and I already opened it. So I'm going to show you what it looks like real quick. I did a review of this album, actually. Or at least I did a review of what it looks like. And it's a pretty cool, transparent pink album. And it's the only album with Ultima creator Richard Garriott. He did a spoken word song on here. It's interesting. The Neverending Story cover, to an extent. Shooter is obviously a big fan of that movie. He put it on here. A Marilyn Manson cover of Cat People with Shooter Jennings is on here. And it's an oddball, but it's still a very cool album. I like odd albums. The more obscure, the more I like them. So let me just put this back in here. But mailing records isn't that expensive. I can send it media mail. I can send everything else regular mail. But let's see. So let me see if anyone knows. All right. How do I win? Well, 3 weeks ago I made a video, and then the week after that I made a second video, and the week after that I made a third video. And you had to watch the 3 videos, but you just had to watch a couple places. One of the videos would have told you about it. But I'm going to have another contest at a higher number. I haven't finalized anything yet. All right. Yeah, congratulations, Brandon and Sam and everyone else. Everyone is a winner to an extent. I will have more contests in the future. So what do second place winners get? They're not going to get a t-shirt unless they go there and get it themselves. They're not going to get the album. I only have 2 of them. I wish I had my own vinyl. But speaking of my music, which isn't necessarily the best, I am going to burn a good few copies of my music from this channel, youtube.com/hoaxhunter. Just my newest hits, if you will. And so you're going to get first and second place are going to get a copy of the soundtrack of this channel. You're going to get a poster signed by a non-famous person, and you're going to get, I'm going to try to add something else. I wanted a patch, but the patches aren't ready yet. I have to order like 100 patches, and I haven't put in the order yet. But I want to try to get a third thing, either a booklet, sticker, a patch, something like that. A poster. And the poster, you know what? I might give you the choice. What type of poster would you like? But I know one of the posters is basically going to be this painting for MGI Mysterialis Ghost Investigation. I haven't completed the poster, the painting yet, but I'm going to turn this painting. It's not done yet. This is a completely original design. I have to cut it out and stencil it basically and paint it in. It's going to be all black. This is going to be white. And I can do the same thing with my Robert Johnson drawing if you'd like that as a poster instead. But I'm not going to do the old design. We're not going to do the old design. But I'll have a couple poster options and maybe a booklet. I might try to get my how to reveal or how to compel spirits to reveal themselves. Let me go get that to show you it does exist. Let me go get it. Got some new headphones. They're really cheap. They're made for PlayStation, and they work. All right. So let me just. I'm going to be inviting people, and this show won't be so boring. But here is the rough draft for my booklet, and the original title: Secrets on How to Get Spirits to Reveal Themselves for Ghost Investigations. It's a wordful. It doesn't sound proper. I'll try to make it sound better, like how to I don't know, compel spirits. You know, you can't force them. They are their own individual identities, intelligences external to the mind of man. And some people don't believe that. Some people believe spirits are non-sentient. I disagree. But I do have many tips. And some of this might be in Corners of Rooms, but Corners of Rooms really focuses on my experiences on Corners of Rooms. I talk about equipment I've used. I talk about equipment I recommend. And I put some warnings in here. It's not for everyone. And I've actually written a good amount of it. And it's complicated. You have to have it all A, B, C, D exactly. And I'm going to take this to a local printing place and have them staple it up because it's a lot cheaper to staple paper. But I wanted it to have a professional outer cover, similar to L.W. de Lawrence back in the late 1800s, early 1900s. He had this professionally stapled, and it's hard to, you can't see it, but the paper was simulated leather. It's fake leather, but it's a pretty cool cover. I think it got dark due to age, but it's almost 100 years old. But well, I'm going to include that. I'm going to get that ready, include that. And to the 7 winners that get that booklet, your feedback will be greatly appreciated. Tell me what you like about it. Perhaps you can be a beta testing group to tell me whether it's interesting or not. All right. So I'm going to be trying to invite people onto the live stream. Let me get the link here. All right. Share. How do I share? All right. Here we go. I don't know who's going to join us, and it might look rigged, but I assure you, Sam and Brandon, that was 100% random. That's just how it is. I don't know if anyone even wants to join. But if no one wants to join, I'll just talk about, off the top of my head, a few things, a few ideas, a few things that maybe one day I'll do an open where I'll invite everyone, you know. I'll just invite some random anyone and everyone. Let's see who wants to come on. I'm not going to be posting it publicly, but you know, I've invited a couple people. We shall see what happens. So today I picked up something at the store, and let me show you what it is. Okay. And it was only $9.99. And I try to look for anything that can be applied and have an application for ghost investigations. And it's a little electronic notepad. And I got this little electronic notepad because, theoretically speaking, maybe ghosts can write on it. I don't know if they can or not. But anything's worth a shot. Where's the stylus? It has a little. Here it is. It doesn't really show up very well, but let me show you how it works. I'm not advertising this. It actually, you can barely see it. Oh, you can see it pretty decently. So this is how it works. It's digitally there. And if I'm going to put this, I'm going to take this to the 1830s house. I'm going to take it to a couple other locations. I don't normally do this. It's like a chalkboard, slate board, but it's digital. This is an LCD screen. So you push this button and it disappears. But if you put the lock button on, it won't disappear. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to put some ghost investigation equipment on top of it. And I think it's possible a spirit can write on here. So right now it's locked, and that's what I'm going to keep it at the investigations. And if anything, I'm going to try to film it. I'll have the camera straight on it to show that I'm not doing it. You can't pre-program it. It's kind of like an Etch-a-Sketch. It's a digital Etch-a-Sketch. You press it, and it clears itself. And it's not very bright. It's not very vivid. It's not probably not a good seller because it was on clearance for $9.99. But I thought it was an interesting device to test out. I'm always looking for something new. All right. So Brandon said he's going to join us. And David Blaine, if anyone has questions, feel free to ask. Okay, yeah. Feel free to subscribe. I will have future contests in the future. As far as this booklet, I wrote this booklet in 2 days. I wrote the whole thing in 2 days, and I was like, yes, I'm going to print this in one weekend. And then I kept rewriting and rewriting and rewriting, and I was like, that page is no good. I'm going to rewrite the whole thing. I'm a perfectionist, trust me. But when it comes to this booklet, it doesn't need to be perfect. Doesn't need to be perfect. I'm going to finish it and complete it and print up 100 copies. Even printing up 100 copies of something flimsy like this would cost, over $100, probably like $150. So it's an investment, but I will print up a good number of copies on how to get spirits to reveal themselves for ghost investigations. And the reason I stopped actually is because one chapter I was talking about demons, and I was like, what if kids are big fans of ghost adventures and they want to get this? Kids hearing about these scary entities, maybe not the best combination. So I'm going to have 2 versions. Actually, I'm going to have a part 1 and part 2. Part 1 will be spirits and ghosts, general information. Part 2 will talk about demons. Demons are a scary subject for some people. I'll tell you, it was a scary subject to me until I encountered them, and I rented a room on Craigslist in 2011. The room cost $400 a month. It was dirt cheap back in 2011 in Orchid, Santa Maria, California. It's on the border of Orchid and Santa Maria. It's basically the same town. And I found it for $400. I had to leave my previous residence because it was a bunch of frat guys that they didn't drink beer and party. They just played Dungeons and Dragons, but they bought a puppy, and the puppy went all over the whole place. And there were decent wooden floors. And I stepped on it while entering my room. I knew the landlord was going to ask for $1,000 for repairs or something. And my roommates would leave the back door open, and it would rain, and it rained on the wooden floors. And it was a nightmare situation where I knew they would rope me in to, hey, can you help us pay for the dog crap on the ground? No, I can't. It's not my dog. I played fetch with it a handful of times because they would neglect it. They would left him alone. But I had to move out. I moved into a worse situation, into a freaking poltergeist haunted room, which was 10 times worse than a place with dog crap all over the place. But here we have Brandon. Thank you for joining us, Brandon.
Yeah, I finally won something. Give me 1 second. I'm just going to set up the camera and everything.
Yeah.
So
no, Brandon entered the last contest and he did not win. Yeah, that's right. He didn't win. But you got first place. There's 2 first place. I'm going to mail the vinyls actually ASAP. It doesn't cost much to mail them. It's like literally like $4 to mail a vinyl record. It's pretty cheap. I'm going to do that.
Right, but don't the corners kind of like not to tie that, like when you mail it, doesn't it kind of shake around?
Well, I just sold a record. I sold a sealed copy of Abbey Road from the 70s. Not a first copy, but like a 10th copy or whatever the case. It was. I sold it for $50, and I cut an Amazon envelope, and I put it on the corners, and I put it in, and the guy, he got it. It's in perfect condition. And I used to have a stack about this tall with professional cardboard corners, specifically for higher quality records. And somebody freaking recycled it. I was like, oh my gosh, my pile of record boxes. But I do have a couple of record boxes, and I'm going to cover the corners. I assure you, it'll be all right. It'll be good. I've never had any complaints. I'll put an extra piece of cardboard on each side. It'll be okay. And so how's it going?
It's great, man. I've never won a contest before. I always lose, even like for fun ones, you know, like this was just a fun one. Everyone's a winner. But
yeah.
It is cool to win. And I'm happy for Sam too, because Sam, I know he'll be super grateful and excited. He's been nothing but very generous. He shared a ton of books with me on the occult and things like that. So he deserves it, man. But yeah, great finally win. I mean, next to like being told I'm gonna be dad, this is a pretty good day. You know?
Okay, so David Blaine, the actual famous magician, has a question. Have you observed that demons talk to you through people? Did you witness this during your investigations? Well, in my life, even more specifically, I have occasionally. Now, I try not to be a judgmental person, all right? But on one occasion, which was, I would say this is about a year and a half ago. An individual asked me to talk with them. And usually this person is bright and sunny and happy, right? But I got an immediate impression that, watch out, this person's going to be mad at you. They're going to yell at you and treat you like dirt. I was like, that's an interesting idea. I didn't know. And then I got to the meeting, and they treated me like dirt the entire time, exactly like my psychic impression, if you will. I think for some reason or another, my spirit, whatever, gave me a heads up. And they literally were mad at me for no reason. Now, they could have been having a bad week. They could have been having a bad month, you know, and they just taken it out on me. But I think in that particular instance, a demon was almost talking through them. It was very freaky because they're usually a bright, sunny person. And for no reason, not of anything I did, they were extremely mad at me. And more specifically, I guess at the Comedy Store, the entire management team were very bipolar towards me, like nice and super mean. Maybe they're always like that. I don't know. I don't know those people very well, so I can't make too much of a detailed judgment call. But I think, what are your experiences on that, Brandon?
You know, the more I think about it, the more I've kind of researched it, is that, yeah, demons definitely manifest through other people. And if they can pit person against person, then that's one of their goals, is to do exactly that. In fact, C.S. Lewis wrote, John Evans and I talked about this on a recent podcast.
You're kind of breaking up. You're kind of breaking up a little bit there. I don't know if
Sorry
you can
about
help your Wi-Fi connection in any way. Like I turned off my phone, for example. I don't know if
that.
that'll
Yeah, let
help.
me check out the phone. Yeah, that's probably
I put
maybe
my
it.
phone on airplane mode, and I
Yeah,
turned
that's good.
off the Wi-Fi on all the other computers because
All right.
yeah, my Wi-Fi is not the best too. But I don't like to judge people, and I did mention bipolar. In no way, shape, or form am I making fun of people's bipolar illness. I know people who have a bipolar to an extent, and that's not demons. Demons are totally separate,
Yeah.
but demons can mimic many illnesses, and that's a stereotypical thing you'll hear from these faith healer bogus people. But I think demons can mimic sleep paralysis. I think they can mimic illnesses. And I'm not Catholic, but Brandon's Catholic. I don't know. I
Yeah.
know exorcists have to make sure the person's not mentally ill before they'll even do an exorcism.
Exactly. Yeah, they have to rule that out, and that's thoroughly investigated first. I've been learning a lot about this, recently. But I was saying, John Evans and I were talking about the demonic influence externally and oppression externally, meaning, through other people affecting you, your life, your finances, whatever it may be. And, someone who had a lot of insight on this was C.S. Lewis, who wrote a book called The Screwtape Letters. And they're letters from a senior demon to a lower demon saying, oh, yeah, he's assigned to the patient. They call him the patient. It's a World War II guy, soldier in Britain who's going to be a Christian. He's on the road to becoming a Christian. And the demon, the senior demon says, well, just, when he's at the dinner table with his mother, just get to the mother, make him think that what the mother says is out of spite, or he takes it in the wrong tone. So there'll be an argument at dinner, and therefore that will distract them. And there's another case where he says, don't let him think about lunch. If he's on to reading the Bible, he's about to read the Bible or anything that will lead him towards truth in any way. Don't let him do that. Get his mind off of that. Constantly distract him with this person, that person. But yeah, you see that all the time. And, it's almost like, if you want to go demon investigation, you can look at other people sometimes. And, I see a lot of this behavior when people just kind of snap out of nowhere. And, like you said, there is obviously a mental illness component to it, and you have to rule that out completely, because that definitely happens. But, demons are also very physical though, too, so that's been my experience. And it just so happens that it coincides perfectly with a lot of the different traditions and their view on how demons can interact through other people and not just directly towards you,
Mm-hmm. Yeah. David Blaine says, when people tell you things you have no way of knowing, that's how you know it's a demon. Well, that's most definitely potentially.
Yeah.
Betty Page Crocker says an ex, his eyes would change when he got rage, like changed in some demonic way. That's freaky. It's pretty freaky. I got an email from someone who was trying to push a religion, so I didn't have too much dialogue with them, because when someone emails you to push their religion, it kind of makes me not too interested. I want to have a discussion. I don't get any atheists trying to force me to be atheist. Not too often. Not too often. Maybe occasionally. But he had a good point. And he said, have you ever noticed like the Matrix, the movie The Matrix? You know how Neo would be just walking through the Matrix and a regular homeless person would turn into Agent Smith and start chasing him?
Yeah.
He said he would literally see regular people turning to a demon and start harassing him. And I was like, wow, that's pretty freaky. And I can relate to that. You can, to an extent, see that here and there. Like I was driving to a city, and I don't want to say what city because I don't want to say this city's full of demons, but every city is full of demons, to be honest. I'm not targeting any particular city, but I was driving to a city, and this guy looked like he couldn't see me, but he tried to run me off the road.
Ooh.
And I assumed it was just a mistake. Like maybe I was in his blind spot. So I gave him the benefit of the doubt, and I corrected and obviously tried to not crash. And so I changed lanes just to be safe that he's not some drunk driver or something. And he proceeded to follow me for about 10 miles and proceeded to try to crash into my car a good 3-4 times. He literally followed me and tried to hit my car a good 3-4 times.
Whoa.
And he was laughing the whole time. He was going, ha, 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 the whole time. And that guy could have been demon influence, most definitely. But it also could have been drugs or alcohol. You never know, you know?
Well, and those things, so drugs and alcohol, are totally open you up
Yeah.
to demonic possession or oppression or some kind of influence in some way. You know, I was recently rewatched Hereditary, which is just a frightening, evil occult movie, you know. And in it, if you remember Peter, he always has a bag of weed, and he's always like, "Oh, I got the good stuff." And remember, like he's always smoking, and that's how he gets into like a trance. That's how he dissociates from the trauma that's happened. So I think there's a lot to that.
Yeah.
know?
Now, I have a friend. Well, he's not too close of a friend. He was kind of a jerk to me. But this high school friend, I don't keep in contact with him too much anymore, but he went through the pot phase, and he would do pot on a regular basis. He said, I've never had anything negative. Pot's good for you, whatever. And then he told me about an experience, how he hit this bong, and he doesn't know what was in it, but he started to have a panic attack, and he started hallucinating. He said he never experienced that in his life. I don't know if it was a different batch laced with something, but he said he thought he was going to die. He said, call 911. I'm having a heart attack. I'm going to die. And he almost described seeing a demon. And this is a guy who is an atheist. He doesn't believe in any of that.
Wow.
And he has laid off the pot ever since that experience.
Yeah.
And so even something as innocent as pot, I guess, can open you up. You know, that's pretty scary stuff.
Well, you remember in Hereditary where he's underneath the bleachers and his friends they're all smoking, and he takes it from the bong, and he starts having a panic attack, and he's like, oh, my throat, it feels like my throat was closing. Just hold my hand for a minute. That's real, you know, and people like that definitely happens. You know, I'm not saying that it's, I don't know. It's a personal choice, you know, and it's legal now. And I'm sure, I know there's been,
medicinal purposes, most definitely. If you take it really responsibly, I can't see too many negative things. If you have cancer and you have a brownie, a small brownie every day, you're probably not going to have too many demonic encounters. But people that over the top use it, you know, I'm sure it doesn't have. I'm sure there are some side effects. But the movie Hereditary, I know for a fact the director is into the occult.
Yes, big time.
The lady, when she was full blown possessed, she was in the corner of the room in the ceiling. She came out of the corner of the room of the ceiling. And there's another corner of room scene where I can't remember if the boy hears his dead sister in the corner of the room or something. But there's a couple corners of rooms references in that movie. And so this corners of rooms information is becoming mainstream. It's the reason I got cornersofrooms.com, because I knew, you know, that name sounds too good for someone might take it, you know. But someone might take room corner or corner room, but Corners of Rooms is the name of my future book that I've been working on for 8 years now. I understand that sounds like a long time, but in 2011, I drew the visions that I had when the spirit walked through me. I only had 2, maybe 3. Let me think. I had 2, maybe 3. I drew them down. Those are going to be in the book. And I looked and looked and looked for stuff like scraps of receipts to know when I moved into that room and moved out of that room. I can do the math and figure it out, but I have receipts somewhere. The landlady, she was over the top. She said, "Oh, can you get a Wells Fargo bank account to make it more convenient for me so you can pay me easier?"
What?
I literally bent
Worst
over
bank.
backwards to help pay the rent in some man. When Wells Fargo said, "Oh, it's no fee," and when I got the bill for a $35 fee for the card, that's when I canceled my Wells
Yeah.
Fargo account because that lady was just, I don't know if she was influenced, but there were a
Well,
lot
she
of
lived there, right? So.
there was a lot of ceramic angels and ceramic crosses around the house. And I don't think that meant much, but the demons were definitely not scared of the master bedroom, the room that I rented. They would knock over everything. Now, they would knock over a half-filled bottle of water, and I've never. Okay, they knocked over a stack of boxes that was about 4 feet high, maybe three boxes stacked up 4 feet high, and two of the boxes fell over. But before the two boxes fell over, I said, "I command you to leave. Get out of my room." And I did invoke the name of God, uh, and they left. But as they're leaving, they literally like kicked in spite of, "Oh, now we have to leave." And it's the biggest thing they ever moved. It was those two boxes. And so their ability is limited. It's very limited. They didn't throw a dagger at my face, which is in actually a Buddhist lore and legend. And in Buddhist lore, a dagger was thrown like at a monk, and it came up to his face and it dropped, almost as if to suggest that poltergeists aren't allowed to murder people. That's interesting, some type of law. But I wouldn't be surprised if they could kill you with a heart attack. So I wouldn't put it past them. But I don't know. At the gates of heaven, how'd you die? A poltergeist? That's not going to be very high on the scale of how people died. That's going to be pretty rare. So.
Yeah, there's that scene in Hereditary too where she's working on her dollhouses, and my mom has dollhouses, so it's very freaky to go back and visit her. I'm like, you got to get rid of these things. But anyway, she's working on her dollhouses, and remember, the paint spills over, and it knocks over that little jar of paint that she has. It's like the blue paint, and it knocks it over without her touching it, and it spills onto the number of that cult member, Joanne or whatever. And she gets the number, and she's reminded to, give her a call or whatever. But that seems to be spot on. And doing a little more research, because it's on Amazon Prime now, and they have like little notations, little kind of like trivia stuff about the film and stuff. And the composer, I don't know if you listened to the soundtrack or paid attention to the soundtrack of that much, but Pure Evil. And the director said, when he was writing the screenplay, which he had prepared, like, so every shot was perfectly prepared and everything. And they only shot it over like 30 days or something like that. And the director said, "Oh yeah, I want you to." He was listening to this guy. He's a musician. He worked on. Did he work on Stanley Kubrick's films? I'm not sure. No, he worked with maybe Bowie, I think, or something like that. He's worked with various musicians.
Oh, I think he might have did the Black Star video with David Bowie.
Is that it? Might be the same guy. So, yeah. So the director said, "I want you to just make the most evil soundtrack that you can, the most evil." So he said he went in the woods in pitch blackness and listened to like, wild animals and things like that. Which is, I mean, that soundtrack is freaky. Yeah, it has a creepy
maybe
movie.
I'm getting confused, but I know the director of Black Star did a movie. Maybe I'm getting confused. Maybe it's something else. But yeah, I have to watch the movie again. But it's so freaky. I haven't. I've only seen it once. It's pretty freaky.
Yeah, no, it is.
It's psychically draining. People say.
Yep, and the thing is, like, what do demons want you to do? They want you to think about the object of fear rather than turning to the truth and to the good and to God, right? So if you start thinking about the demon and obsessing about the demon in the movie or that, because it's quite shocking, that's a real demon that they mention and stuff. which I won't mention here, but you know, like, I don't know. Yeah, it sticks with you for sure. And like, I didn't notice, because when you mentioned like, oh, there's the corners of the room scene, I thought it was that one corner, like where he does hear his, what he thinks is his sister. And I think like a ball bounces at him or something like that in his room, the kid. But I didn't, because the lighting was so low, I didn't notice her in the corner that first time. So on my second viewing, I'm like, what is that in the corner? Oh my God, it freaked me out so bad, because I thought, like, even Thomas Sheridan did a review of it, and he was like, there's that one scene, I'm not going to spoil anything too much, but you know which one, and I'm like, oh, is it the one where she's like, they do a camera thing and she's walking upside down? That's not it. It's when she's in the corner of his bedroom and he turns around, she crawls, man. It is the most unnerving thing I think I've ever seen, you know?
Yeah. So Yo says a metaphor of the doll's house is about perception from another realm. You know, off the top of my head, I never thought about it. I know Thomas Sheridan, as you mentioned, he actually talks about it. He said he did models and that kind of struck him. But it seems to me like the demons see us as puppets. The demons see us as little dolls to play with. Maybe that's some type of analogy I can come up
and if you look at the film again and watch it, like I watched it again because, you know, first time it was just too much of a shock and take it all in, but you notice how, like, there's so many details in that. And the dollhouse thing, the film starts off, it zooms in to a dollhouse from afar, and the perspective of the camera is always that of like a perspective of the demon. Like, remember the opening shot of The Shining, one of the best opening, like, helicopter swooping shots of The Shining. And some people are like, well, maybe that's like to represent, like, you know, the higher view that demonic entities can see you from and can spy on you from and stuff.
Yeah,
like
perhaps.
Yeah. So, but by the end of the movie, you know, it's a long story, but the mother is like constantly dissociating herself from reality, basically, more and more and more. Instead of the family coming together, they go into their separate rooms. But the dollhouse scene, eventually it comes from, like, from the perspective of the camera, comes from the outside looking at the dollhouse, and then that they finally merge at a critical point. So it's genius, but it's like evil genius, you know what I mean?
Yeah. So we have a disbeliever that says, what a bunch of nonsense, y'all. Have fun in here. This very recorder right here, I took to a tunnel, and there were a few homeless individuals taking a snooze. But I recorded with this recorder for a good 30 minutes around the area, because the tunnel is connected to the slaughterhouse, a famously haunted location. Ghost Adventures did an investigation there. It was closed. I couldn't go there. So I decided to go to the tunnel about a mile away, because I'd heard here and there that spirits might use tunnels. And it's the most active on recorder I ever had. On this very recorder, I had a lapel mic connected right here, an Audio-Technica $20 mic from Amazon, plugged in here. And I'm talking about spirits for 30 minutes. And on this recording is the voice of a spirit saying, "That's not a spirit." And it's real. The recording's actually still on here, but it's probably within a 40-minute recording. And understandably, it's pretty quiet. It sounds like this. That's not a spirit. That's not a spirit. So I did have to boost it like 500% to really hear it. But actually, one of the listeners pointed it out. I couldn't even hear it. I couldn't hear it. Spirits actually talk via these devices. Skeptics are going to be skeptics, but skepticism is healthy. It's healthy to be skeptical of a device like this. But when you buy a device like this and you realize how it works, you know what can set it off, you know what can't. And I've had a spirit systematically, one light at a time, set it off. That's not possible except through some internal, or if I get my hands on a balloon and I really practice, I might be able to do it. But the footage is real. It's not rigged. It's not fake. There's an actual spirit there. And it threw a rock. The spirit at the 1830s house, it threw a rock. And that's one of the reasons I think it might be demonic, because I've never experienced a rock being thrown. When I lived in the haunted room in 2011, I didn't have any rocks in my room. But the only thing the spirit had to play with were rocks to get my attention. I said, "Can you make your presence known?" No editing. A Sony expert could look at the raw file and see embedded permanently is the sound of a rock being thrown, or maybe a piece of tile being thrown. It's a hard object hitting another hard object to my right, near where the spirit manifested on the grass. And you have to experience it on a first-hand basis. And when you see it from a third-person perspective, from just a different perspective, I understand the skepticism, because this is YouTube. And on YouTube, there are a lot of clickbait artists, if you will, that put up nonsense. But it's a little bit addicting to go ghost investigating. There's a little bit of a rush. But it's pretty freaky. I think someone like Zach Bagans is probably more addicted than I would ever be. I could cold turkey after spending $3,000 on this stuff. I have a whole bunch of it. Like, this thing retails for $200, $250. I got it on sale for like $100. This thing retails for, I don't know, like $125, $100, something like that. I think I got it for $100 and some odd dollars. The Mel meter, I have a $350 one. I have a $250 one. They're expensive pieces of equipment. It all adds up. There is about $2,000, $3,000 worth when you add it all up. These are expensive Sony recorders. These are pretty expensive ones. And I wanted ones with dual microphones. These are actually stereo, so there's two individual mics on there. And I've gone to the realm of trying to get more scientific static equipment, because spirits can scientifically set off. This one I've realized isn't the best, because it measures in some I think it's too big. I think the volts are too big. I need to get a fraction of a volt meter would really show even better. But I'm designing a device. I haven't showed it yet, but I need a soldering gun. I have a drill. I'm going to add some LED lights. And spirits can set off static electricity. That's a fact. And here is an experiment. Actually, I haven't really done it yet, but we will see. I'm not doing it right now, but if we get a message now, we'll get a message now. I doubt it. But I think theoretically a spirit could use this. I think theoretically it's possible. So I'm going to give it a shot. It's the closest thing to a full-blown Ouija board, to be honest. So I might only use it once. I don't know. But I am going to take it to the... I'm going to take this to the pirate house. I'm going to put devices on it. And... you know, if there's any movement, if the devices move at all, they will create marks. See those marks?
Yep.
So,
wow.
Yeah, that might be useful in some scientific, to an extent, level. I'm a fan of science. I'm also a fan of spirituality, which I consider to be the belief in spirits, among other things. And spirits have entered my room. They've walked on my stuff. More specifically in 2011, but about 11 months ago, one did over the top make his presence known. When I was a kid, it was a foreign concept to... Usually it's the other way around. When you're a kid, you believe in fairies and leprechauns and unicorns.
Santa Claus, yeah.
Santa Claus, the fairy, tooth fairy, the Easter bunny. But I was a pretty skeptical kid. I learned very quickly Santa Claus is this and that here and there. We don't want to ruin it for people at home, right?
Yeah.
But I was a very skeptical kid probably my first ghost encounter when I was 14. I heard a knock in a closet. And even then, I was so skeptical, I went outside to see if there were shutters banging. And when I saw there was no tree hitting the wall, no shutters, it was an open house. My mom was a real estate agent. That was probably the first ghost encounter or anything I'd ever experienced. It was a human hand knocking the wall of the closet, and it knocked about 30 times. It was very distinct, very loud, sounded like a human hand. And knocking is fairly common in hauntings. It's possible the house was for sale because it was haunted. It's possible. I know California law, they're supposed to disclose if a house is haunted. I'm sure people try to get around that.
Mm-hmm.
But
that's one of the reasons why. When I told you my story of the Ouija board, my mom bought a house and it was pretty cheap. It wasn't that it was a cheap house, not a cheap house, but it was cheap. It was a good deal. But she didn't know in Massachusetts it's different. You don't have to disclose what happened in there or on that land. I had to go back to the Registry of Deeds and search for what had happened, the history of that land and so on, and come to find out, it was a pretty haunted place. Before I had even moved in, if you remember the story, girls on my basketball team were calling me and saying, "Oh, Brandon, you're moving into my old house. It's haunted by this spirit ghost named Lisa." I'm like, "Yeah, right, whatever. I don't believe you, But through experience, firsthand experience, when I was 13, 13, whatever, 14 even. After many, not just myself, but even my older brother who had a demonic encounter in there. It wasn't just me. Like there's definitely demons or spirits or entities, maybe more than one, on that piece of land for sure. And it definitely had something to do with the price of the land and why it was apart from the rest of the horse farm and stuff.
I think I got lucky. I think I got lucky growing up. I did not grow up in a haunted house. I had no concept of what that was. That 14-year-old encounter at the open house, I brushed it off and never thought about it ever again until Art Bell had a Ghost to Ghost, and he wanted ghost stories. And I had that one ready, and that's the only story I had. So in 1999, 2000, 2001, Art Bell had Ghost to Ghost. That's the only story I had. That's the only ghost story I had, and it wasn't that good. The lights did turn on after I turned them all off. That's it. Not that compelling. That's it. So nothing until age 14 on any haunted level. And from 14 to many years later, we're talking 10 plus years later, many more than 10. I'm not going to give away my age, figure it out, but we're talking 15 plus years later, I move into a haunted room. Extremely poltergeist haunted. Clearly, the demon poltergeists, which were not psychokinesis. Psychokinesis, in my opinion, I've never experienced any evidence of it. Every skeptic will say, "Oh, it's PK. It's PK. It's just psychokinesis." Psychokinesis is moving objects with your mind, either purposefully or accidentally. And these two demons that poltergeist haunted me were intelligent to the point where they seemed to have been assigned to harass me. It was their job. They would clock in, harass me, clock out at 5:30 a.m. They clocked in probably 5:30 p.m. So they had that 12-hour window where they were harassing me, and it was their job. They were assigned to me for 6 months straight. In 2010, a demon appeared to me for the first time ever. Now, it was in a pitch black room, which it would be a natural environment for a demon to reveal itself to you. And I'm not going to go into the details. I'm not going to talk about them. I will full-blown make a video about the demon encounter I had. I'll probably have 10 videos just repeating the story, because I think maybe in 100 years, someone will develop software that you can plug in the vocal, you can plug in the video, and facial recognition, maybe something. Oh, this person's not lying. Oh, this person's telling the truth. That's interesting. So maybe in 100 years, there's going to be some technology. Someone can plug in all my old videos when I'm dead. And they'll be like, wow, that guy wasn't lying. So he's either crazy or whatever, but I'm not crazy.
Yeah,
the fact is, when I say this thing went off systematically, I actually filmed it. I recorded it. And you will see that in part 2, but more specifically part 3. I've only used this device twice. In July of last year at the 1830s grist mill, and in September of last year at the 1830s grist mill. Those are the only 2 times I've ever tried it. But I am willing to take it to what I believe is a haunted mall parking lot. And I'm willing to take it to the Safeway where a tragic event took place. And I'm willing to take it to anywhere. I mean, I do want to try to get my money's worth just for investigation. It's a personal thing. Someone said, how do we know you didn't program it? First of all, I'm not advertising this company. It took like 4 or 5 months to get this. Maybe that's an exaggeration, but it feels like 4 months. It took a long time. He had to customs print it. What's it called? 3D
print.
He had to 3D print it, and it's all 3D printed except for the battery compartment isn't. And you pretty much have to own one yourself to know what it can and what it can't do. I ordered the one with sound, but I've never clicked the sound button. But it has a kind of a corny sound button, and it makes a corny sound. And either I've accidentally or forgot, but I don't know. But I've never pushed the sound button. And I'm not going to turn it on now because I don't want to have any ghost session right now. Because ghosts do... People are haunted. Zach Bagans has a book called I Am Haunted. And not just houses, but people can definitely be haunted. Spirits can follow people. The spirits in the 2011 room, they, for the most part, stayed behind. But now that I've had the firsthand knowledge of poltergeist activity, other poltergeists know that I know that they exist. And so I think they're more, I don't know. There's almost a legal process to revealing themselves. Yep. Demons act like lawyers. Oh, you have an occult book?
Absolutely.
Oh, okay. Then I have legal right to be here. Okay.
That's right.
The demon probably saw my freaking The Black Magic Book of Dark Arts and Pacts by A.E. Waite. And most definitely, that's a pretty freaky book. Why do I have it? I'm a collector and I'm a researcher. To be honest, I haven't read that book. I haven't read more than 1 page of that book. I looked at the diagrams, and they're very similar to a lot of the other ones. I kind of got it because I saw it on sale, and I know how much it's worth. So some of them I buy for resale. And actually, all of them I do buy for research. If I did sell that, I would read the whole thing and do a review before I sold it. It's for informational purposes. But the visions I had, when a spirit walked through me right to left, and these poltergeist demons walked through me every single night at a different time. And I know for a fact Arthur Edward Waite probably knows about this information. If he doesn't, he simply repeated it because he didn't invent it. It comes from even older texts. But spirits have sigils that may have been invented by a human artist, right? We know about the sigils, like the Goetia, whatever you want to pronounce it as in the movie Hereditary. They really focus on one particular demon from the Goetia, the Key of Solomon. But I'm going to be mentioning in my book Corners of Rooms, which is not for sale. I've been working on it for 8 years. I'm not plugging it, and I've already promised after I publish it, I'm going to read it from A to Z. I don't know how long it'll take. If it takes 5 hours, 4 hours, 3 hours, I'm going to read the whole thing live. And so that video will be there for anyone telling me I did it for the money. So far, 0 people are interested in my story. I didn't do it to sell. It's a true story. I haven't revealed all of it because I think my book is a more realistic format than YouTube. There's so much garbage on YouTube that I'll have to admit, you know.
Mm-hmm.
I'm recommended. Oh, check out this UFO, and it's CGI. You look at the comments. You look at the comments. Wow, that's amazing. I go to my Facebook. My cousin and my uncle shared that video.
Oh my!
They're like, "What do you guys think?" And
No.
one time I put CGI, and they didn't say this, but their reaction to me saying CGI is, "Oh, you're no fun."
No,
but yeah, I'm not fun, but I also like to share the truth.
Right.
So
not have people be deceived. Yeah.
Yeah.
But yeah, demons being legalistic is what you're saying, and yeah, like that. You know, I was, like I said, I've been doing listening to some exorcists on this, and like from the church and whatnot, and not just there, but other traditions and stuff. And they say they're incredibly legalistic, like they have to obey the authority structure, and in fact, they do not have any authority other than what God allows, right? So,
well, I mean, I would, you know, I might agree partially with that, but I'm not a huge fan of the devil. A lot of people say the devil doesn't exist, right? I personally disagree. If the devil existed, I think he would be a temporary state of a lowercase g, lowercase God. And what is his godhood? His godhood is lowercase g, and he has 1 billion spirits following him, or 1 million spirits. We don't know how many, but that would be his power, 1 million spirits following him. That's pretty powerful. If 2 spirits can throw a bottle of water across my room, if 2 spirits can throw a bottle of water across my room, just think of what 1 million spirits could do.
Right.
People have been full body levitated. I think in cases of full body levitation, which I've never witnessed, I believe it's most definitely possible. I think there might be 1,000 spirits lifting that person, not just 1 or 2. I think it probably takes quite a huge number of spirits to lift anything substantial. That's my personal, theory. Yeah. These entities are invisible. You can't see them. There's a lot of guesswork, most definitely. I'm trying to find an example of something in here. And, well, here is one image. You can see, this is a fairly old image, the Goetic Circle of Pax. And E.A. Coetting clearly borrowed from this when he made his Azazel book, because he uses that triangle with the circles.
No.
And, a lot of occultists will borrow and change it around. But there's a lot of circles in here, a lot of pentagrams. But there's actually a specific page with some images. And I can't find it. It's in here. Even if I could find it, I wouldn't show it. Let me just give you an example. There are different images in this book. And I can even admit, there's a page in this book which talks about different spirits. And it has not sigils, but it has drawings. And 2 of the drawings I saw projected into my head. They didn't look like a medieval woodcut. It looked like a crystal clear HD image projected into my head.
Whoa.
Of what that woodcut is. So it's not a cheap woodcut. It was a full-blown HD full-color image of what that is. I think these ancient magicians were doing their rituals. Spirits walked through them. They saw the same vision. They crudely, or the best of their ability, drew it down. And it was passed down for thousands of years. It's interesting because it's confirmation to me that when a spirit walked through me in 2011, it's the same ancient spirits that walk through wizards, magicians, and sorcerers, and perhaps people under oppression, not just black magic practitioners, but general regular people under demonic oppression. I was definitely under oppression. I don't think I was possessed, but I was oppressed for 6 months straight. And I built up a resistance. So there's a positive side to it. There's a silver lining to it. And it's kind of a scary silver lining if you admit that I purposely go to haunted locations, put this up, and when a spirit starts interacting, I'm like, okay, I'm not scared. But a regular human probably be freaked the freak out. There's an episode of Ghost Adventures where Zach Bagans and his crew are in Las Vegas, and they're going to go to the Stardust or one of the casinos they tore down. I think it was the Stardust. And they were on the street clearly for a couple hours trying to get volunteers. They wanted to get like 4 volunteers to go ghost investigate with them. And it took them a couple hours of people saying, oh, that's kind of scary. I don't know if I want to ghost. Ghosts are scary. I don't want to go into a pitch black hotel that's empty. No, thanks. I don't want to. Even fans of the show didn't want to go. So they really had to beg people. And they did eventually get like 3 volunteers, and they were each on their own floor. And some guy that said he's a full-blown atheist, he said walking down, something kept grabbing his legs. Pretty freaky. Pretty freaky.
Wow.
I think a crew like the Ghost Adventures, whether there's ghosts there or not, almost follow the crew and play with anyone involved.
Yep.
I mean, if I had a ghost show, probably the same thing would happen. So I'm not saying anything negative about them, but demons in particular, they love playing games. The Ghost Adventures crew, just one example of a generic crew, they've experienced demonic activity. They've experienced rocks being thrown at them, but never in any dangerous level. It's more of just psychologically scary. But I think if they go to a different location, similar to me, on probably a much grander level, the demons almost have permission. Oh, you've experienced this demon and that demon? And demons do communicate. They do talk. People make fun of Stephen Dollins for saying, oh, there's a demonic telephone line, and they talk to each other. I personally believe that's true.
Yep. That's true, too. I like Stephen Dollins. I wonder what happened to him. Hope he's okay. I haven't heard from him. Remember he made that Twitter appearance, and we were kind of corresponding with him a little bit. I mean, he's funny just because he has the mullet, and he looks like Kenny Powers, kind of. From that HBO show, but I believe what he says, man, and because he comes off very authentic and not really exaggerating too much. I think he goes a little overboard when he starts talking about toys and
when he starts talking about Harry Potter, and Pokemon in specific, it does sound comedic, most definitely. I wouldn't, if I had kids, I wouldn't warn them against Pokemon. Personally, that's just me personally, because kids aren't going to get a Pokemon toy and start worshiping the devil the next day. That's not going to happen in a regular scenario.
Right.
But the reason I saw the second Stephen Dollins rejoin Twitter is because I followed him like 6 months prior. And maybe a couple days before he started using it, I accidentally clicked show notifications. So I got a notification of Dollins' latest tweet. I was like, holy crap, he's online. And I started tweeting him. I said, what are the demon in the orange smoke? You know, I was asking him, oh, did it appear in the corner of the room?
Right.
And he said it was on the side of the room, close to the corner. And that's, I think he said when it came back in the corner of the room. I think he said it left on the side of the room and came back from the corner. So that is huge confirmation. I was going to make an entire video. I still will. That's confirmation to me. Dollins doesn't read these books. He doesn't even like Pokemon.
Right.
And these books, to be honest, you'll see corners of rooms mentioned here and there.
Yeah.
Feng Shui books talking about salt in the corners or rice in the corners or spirit energy or just positive or negative energy in the corners are going to talk more about it than other type of books. But it's not hugely common knowledge. And he said a demon manifesting as orange smoke. And yeah, there are a few celebrities that have witnessed smoke entities in their room. And I wonder if these entities appear more to famous people. And because they're famous, they don't want to be seen as insane, so they don't talk about it.
Right.
Who knows?
That's a good point.
I don't know.
Didn't who else said that? Wasn't it Steven Skinner, that guy that said don't freak out if during rituals or whatever? And he said, Dr. Steven Skinner, who's an expert on grimoires and whatnot, he said that once when he was in his youth and he was summoning a demon or whatever, one came, and I want to say he said it was orange with gnashing teeth.
Yeah, he said Steven Skinner saw like a ball levitating, an orange ball with gnashing.
It
teeth.
was orange. Okay, so there you go.
And yeah, if I saw that, I'd probably leave the room. See, I've never seen a visible ghost, to be honest, other than them manipulating these devices, other than them throwing bottles of water across my room. And it's not just bottles of water, anything. I had a pen cup full of pens. They would literally play and rifle through the pens to the point where they would knock the pen thing over and knock pens out. It was anything loose and small enough for them to manipulate. They would do that. But yeah, he makes a good point. Don't be scared if you want greater results. Same thing with ghost investigating. I was there for an hour straight on the first visit and the second visit. But the third visit, I wanted to stick around. But there's literally someone, I think, with a huge flashlight or maybe a truck driving very slow coming after the spirit set these off.
Oh, wow.
I forgot that I promised I would leave if it set the devices off. I forgot about that. In the heat of the moment, you're not thinking, oh, now I got to leave. I got to keep my promise. I didn't I didn't know the spirit was going to do it so systematically, categorically, exactly, one at a time. Intelligently. I didn't know he was going to do that. Only in a best case scenario was he going to do that. So I was so hyped up in the moment. I actually put the millimeter on the right and the millimeter on the left, and it had the same setup, but with 2 millimeters. And I said, oh, can you do it again with the millimeters? And the spirit kind of got offended. The spirit's kind of like, it didn't say anything. Just by not saying anything, it basically said, no, I did what the deal was. Now you got to leave, is what I gather. Because someone, a human being walking with a flashlight at 10 p.m., that's not too late. That's the problem.
Oh, okay.
That was the problem, because the third time was 10 p.m. It might have been 10:15. It might have been 10:30. But it was not that late. Early enough where a human saw the lights in the window, or on some insane level, the spirit contacted them through another spirit or something and alerted them of my existence to get me to kick me out of the residence or the area, the location. It's public property, but I'm sure there's a curfew. You know what I mean? They could get the cops to kick me out because of the curfew. It's actually a public parks location, but you can't hang out in the park at 10:30 p.m. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So it is bending the rules. But when there's a ghost at a location behind a bunch of trees, and luckily those trees were there because I saw the light coming through the trees. If there was no trees, they might have spotlighted me and noticed me.
Yeah.
I packed up all my stuff and I ran.
Wow.
And by the time they got there, they would have seen nothing. And if they hung around really looking for me, they might have noticed the ghost pop out, maybe jump in the corner. That would be cool to have them freaked out, you know, because I have a feeling the ghost acted like a Scooby-Doo cartoon and was really trying to scare me. It was trying to scare me away since the first time I visited. The only reason it revealed itself is because I walked around it for 20 minutes saying, I didn't say hunt. I said, I'm investigating ghosts. Are there any ghosts here? Are there any ghosts here? That's a key thing. You have to vocally say, are there any ghosts here? I think an atheist wouldn't do that. An atheist with a smirk would be like, this is BS. This is BS. This is BS. But if you walk around and actually vocally say, is there a spirit here with a flashlight? But I had an infrared light, which was pitch black. The only way a human would have seen me is when I turned on one of my Mel meters. I turned on the red laser. You know that red laser? I turned on the red laser, and the red laser reflected the window fairly brightly. And if someone lives a mile away and their windows happen to exactly point towards that window, I don't know. But it's possible they've never seen a light in that window in their life. I think they saw it, and they wanted to investigate and kick me out of the place. Because there is perhaps crops of one type or another. It might have been a farmer protecting his crops. Because I don't want to reveal the location too much, you know. And you said you found the location. You said you found it.
Oh yeah, I'm pretty sure. Yeah. Yep. Yeah.
Well,
I'm not going to reveal it either, so don't
reveal it. Yeah, thank you, because I want to keep.
I'm not even going to go there yet. Yeah.
I want to keep it pristine because I searched probably for 3 hours on Google to see if I could find it, just for see if other people. I searched for 3 hours on Google, and I found one website that vaguely mentions the mile radius. Even that website doesn't give directions. So I'm fairly confident it's not easy to find, you know?
No, it's not. Definitely not. And I'm not 100% on it, but I'm pretty sure. Let's see.
So someone, David Blaine, he's obsessed with asking about demonic attacks and pornography. Now, I would say if you watch the movie Hereditary 100 times in a row, demons would probably freaking enter your freaking room because that movie is freaking scary. Pornography 100 times in a row, probably the same thing. So be wary of anything that you know of your own personal self maybe isn't wholesome. You know what I mean? I don't want to push any religious angle on it. Just even people have watched YouTube videos of certain meditations to summon demons. And some people have said in the comments, oh my gosh, there's a demon in my room. Who knows if they're telling the truth, but I've never tried it, so I'm not going to give it a try myself personally.
Yeah, anything obscene that or like gory or like, you know, like ISIS beheading videos or anything like that. When you do that,
try not to mention that again.
Oh, sorry. Yeah. But you know, those terrible videos, those obscene, anything obscene like that.
Yeah.
The demons function on visual images. You know, they function. They will. One of the things they do is they have access to your emotions and to your visual system, and so they can plant an image in your mind, and it can be etched there. And so, you know, when you look at obscene things like that, be careful. You know, be very careful.
So Oswald sent me a message. I don't know if anyone can see that, but Oswald said, what are some signs that a demon is revealing itself in any way aside from its corporeal form, its manifestation form, which is extremely rare. So you're going to see other signs. Personally speaking, I lived in a poltergeist haunted room of 2 poltergeist demons. They entered the corner of the room, and the creak was quite significant. It sounded like the physical 2x4s in the corner were almost being moved. Creak, 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 creak. Not that loud. It was more subtle. But when I would hear that and then see a bottle fly across the room, I put 2 and 2 together and realized that's one sign. Now, maybe it's not going to be the corner of your room, and hopefully it's not. Just keep your room clean. I would say not just media, but 11 months ago, a demon entered my room. it picked up my wires, dropped them. I've mentioned this story a good 10 plus times. I'm not going to tell everything, but it touched things slightly. And it's rare that a demon even has the ability to move physical objects. Or I have a theory that maybe in the end of the end, maybe they'll all start doing it and freak everyone out. Who knows?
Interesting.
Who knows?
Like Bird Box.
Yeah, I mean, we don't know. But it moved slight things. I had a messy room like I have now. And I would have like a pen on a table. And I literally heard this. I would hear stuff like that until I noticed, okay, now I see the object moving. I hear it moving. And it was pretty subtle. Other than the wires was the most obvious thing. To be honest, that's the only time I've ever witnessed levitation. And because the wires were still touching the desk, it didn't look like levitation. But it was levitation. And I don't know who that demon was. Could have been one of the 2011 demons. I don't ask. And that way, they're anonymous demons. And I'd rather them just be out of my life, you know?
Yep. I will say another way that for Oswald, and hello, Oswald. Good to see you. Yeah, I would say, another sign other than revealing themselves through corporeal form is dreams. Like if you have a dream that is uncannily just over the top, either gory or demonic in nature, where it's just not right. You wake up sweating and fixated and afraid, and it affects your whole mood throughout the day. I've had those nightmares. I think those are a sign that of a possible diabolic influence on being put onto your psyche. There are other, they can move objects, definitely noises in your imagination, but they're not just your imagination, but you might think it is. And but I think they induce emotional states in other people as well. So you can see, my girlfriend, for example, will go from and it could be because she's pregnant too, but go from just really happy to everything I say is just twisted and turned and looked through the prism of the worst possible perspective, stuff like that. When you see people, I mean, that's external oppression and things like that. So, rather than fixate on the object of fear, turn to God and to goodness, because nothing, I mean, they have opportunities, they have, maybe even days, maybe even times or hours where they function or are allowed to operate in certain ways. But, as long as you stay in, some sort of protection and are a good person, then, they're not going to be able to guilt trip you into thinking, driving you insane. That's another thing is they, I think demonic, diabolic means to tear apart. So they would love to tear apart things. And that's, and also, I've heard too, but this hasn't happened to me personally, but people will talk about obviously this has to be ruled out, but pains in their neck or in their, panic attacks or physical manifestations. Sometimes, according to some exorcists, demons are confined to a certain location in the body. And when revealed in full-blown exorcism, they will say, I don't know why I'm confined to this part of the body. That's just the way Christ operated or whatever. Or God put me here or whatever. So they obey the authority structure. They know what it is. And if you don't have the authority to be there and you're going around casting out demons from people and think you have the authority, that's bad too. Because, they're going to ask, well, what authority do you have? As long as you have, God behind you, then there's nothing that they can do in God's despite. And in fact, like you said, there's a good side to it. The upshot of it is that I don't know any saint really or even Sage or whatever that wasn't tempted by a demon at some point, heavily. You look at like even Padre Pio, who like really was demonically attacked big time, and all the saints and sages, even Christ, you know, tempted and messed with, and but so they work in favor to your purification. So like the only ways demons can like maybe scare you or make you think or reveal themselves or get you to try to tear you apart is if you allow them to, as long as you just stay in calm, like John said. I think you're okay, you know. And they, you know, you can point, like if they plant in the thought like, oh, you're a terrible person, look what you did today, you know. And that's what they do. They accuse in your mind and things like that. And but as long as you say, you know, well, I'm forgiven, you know, and have your protection, then, you know, you can work on that. You can say, you know what, you're right. Yeah, okay, maybe I did steal that piece of candy when I was 2 years old, or cheat on that test when I was whatever. You know, in that movie Ice Storm, or Storm of the Century that Lord Josh Allen recommended, the demon in that movie plays on people like that, and he'll say, "Oh, I know what you did, Father. I know you cheated on that test when you were in 17. Why don't you tell your son how you cheated on that test and how Daddy is such a smart guy and all this stuff?" You know,
yeah, some good points. Yeah, demon dreams. That's one way you can know a demonic dream.
exactly.
In my experience, they're always extremely vivid and lucid.
Yep.
And oh my gosh, the worst demon dream I've ever had. I was staying at my sister's apartment, and she only had this apartment for a short period of time. And it was actually fairly near Santa Barbara, California. And it looked like a scene in a horror movie. I'm not going to go into detail, but it involved kids, high school kids, Letterman jacket, cheerleaders, and it involved them killing themselves.
Ooh.
Over the top, something I would never dream about, ever.
Exactly.
Extremely demon. Now, let me think. Another demon dream I had. I was at a dorm room, and it was in bunk beds, and there were 3 other guys. I was in the bottom bunk. There was a guy above me, and then on the other side was 2 guys in their bunks. And it was a dorm room situation, very rare for me. It was a very short period of time I was in these dorms. And the next day, every single one of us said, "Hey, did you have a really freaky dream last night?" Yes, 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 yes.
There you go.
All 4 of us had an extremely horrific dream. And I've already mentioned this in a previous video, but you probably didn't see it because I think it was only one time.
I saw it.
And this is the dream. And I've never had a dream like this in my life. Almost South Park makes fun of this. You know what I mean? This is what Eric Cartman sees when he closes his eyes, like just like horrific things. But the dream kind of reminded me of the tunnel in Willy Wonka, you know, with the worms, the eyeballs and the worms and the snakes and the weird, gross stuff. Well, it was kind of like the tunnel in the original Willy Wonka, but a million times worse. We're talking like people's flesh rotting off, eyeballs, caterpillars, snakes. It almost looked like you had a first-person perspective of what it was like to be in a coffin and watch yourself rot. Something like that. It was really disgusting. I've never had a dream like that in my life. All 4 of us had a similar dream in the same night. Scientifically, that's not possible.
Improbable, yeah.
So improbable. It was a demon dream. What the demon was doing was going room to room. And in my perspective, the demon was so lazy that instead of giving me the demon dream and then someone down the hall and then someone over there, it actually went to all 4 of us in the same night, and then probably went to the 4 people in the next dorm and the 4 people in the next dorm. that's, in my perspective, a lazy demon because he's revealing he exists or it exists. Usually demons are more careful than that. As Bjork said,
Slippery.
there is an interviewer asking Bjork the musician, so what do you think about demons? And I think he might have been talking about them theoretically or hypothetically, or he was talking, I think, about something not literal. I don't think he was talking about literal demons. I have to watch it again to see his journalistic perspective, but he wasn't talking about religious demons. He was talking about something else, like your fears. Like, oh, do you have any demons, like skeletons in the closet? I think he was talking about something like that. And Bjork assumes he's talking about literal demonic entities. Right. Bjork says, oh, demons, they're the slipperiest of creatures. And she basically was talking about they're almost impossible to prove they exist. They'll slip in and out. They're as slithery as a snake. The fact that this demon showed itself to all four of us showed itself in through a demon dream. That's over the top. An impossibility in my perspective, you know. I mean, there wasn't drugs pumped into our room. No, it was just silly. A regular dorm room, nothing crazy going on. There was no substances. None of us took anything. We had soda and pizza or something. It was a normal dorm room, and we all had a freaking demonic dream. Wow. And the entire time staying there, I can't remember having any dreams ever, except for that one. But demons, they can manipulate static electricity. I know for a fact they can. So I purchased these foam balls.
Oh, cool.
Tiny foam balls. These foam balls are so small that their weight is minuscule. It's nothing. This weighs virtually nothing. And so I'm going to create a device, and this is a second device. I have a different static device with LED lights and a gauge, which will hopefully show on a greater level than these gauges, because I think these might be too much power. Some spirits, most spirits, are just too limited. And perhaps, I know for a fact, poltergeists, which are spirits and not psychokinesis anything, they're actual spirits. They can turn on the ability and turn it off. Maybe they have to save up the energy. I did almost make the comment when the demons knocked over the boxes. Wow, you guys must have been saving up for weeks to do that, because they didn't knock stuff over that big, except for that one time. But I'm going to put this in a container, and alongside stuff like this, I'm going to see if the spirit can move these balls.
Interesting. Because
people say, you programmed that, dude. But can I program some analog freaking foam balls? No.
No.
So I'm trying to go as analog as possible, less anti-digital, to maybe see if we can see something on a more physical level. So I got these foam balls from China. I mean, it's just an idea. I don't know if it's going to work. Good idea. But I'm always looking for something new.
No, scientists use those little tiny balls. I've seen them at MIT where if they want to detect like invisible waves, even like that will affect like static or something like that, even that will affect those little balls, and like you can't see what's going on, but obviously you can tell something happened because of the pattern in the ways of the balls and that they moved at all, you know, without any external variable like wind being ruled out and everything else being ruled out, you know.
Like, why would I buy all this stuff if I didn't already have evidence that static can be manipulated by spirits? Right. I wouldn't have purchased this thing, which is a really rare handheld device. I'm sure this could do something. I don't know. But we're going to see. I actually have a container. I have 2 containers. And I wouldn't spend this money unless I was rich. I'm not rich, believe it or not. I live paycheck to paycheck. I know I'm happy to say that, but that's the truth. There's a pretty good comment by Gander who says, Socrates, obviously the great philosopher, he knew that, let's see, anyone who claims to be an expert in acts as if they have all the answers are deceivers concerning the occult or the secrets of the universe. Most definitely. I would say there are some psychics that say they know everything. And they go on Montel Williams, and I'm not going to say the psychic's name. She's, rest in peace, passed on.
Oh, yeah.
But she said she knew the secrets of everything. She didn't use the word God, but she basically said she knows everything. That she's a living God. She basically said that. And
Wow.
actually, an audience member came forward and they said, "Oh, can you do a reading for me?" And she said, "Oh, you're going to find the love of your life. He's going to be a handsome man." And she said, "I'm a lesbian."
Oh, shot down big time. Nice.
And it was pretty funny. You can find it on YouTube. It's pretty funny.
Wow. I love seeing them get stunted like that. You know what, though? Like, you talking about Hereditary, I don't want to focus on it too much, but that's another part of the film where this psychic medium, gets the woman into mediumship and gets her in an apartment, and it's all planned. You figure it out at the end. Spoiler alert! But she's like, "Oh, just try this and manifest," and she's like, "Louis, if you're here to do this and that, and push the cup, and then write on the chalkboard." And someone brought up the fact in the comments or something like that Louis, in a review, that Louis might have been Lucifer. That maybe she was, you know what I mean? She was saying,
Probably.
"Oh, thank you, Louis," and it's like, oh, because it definitely, yeah.
I know Pandemonium is written on the wall.
Yes, and there's another 3 other ones.
I don't know everything. I don't claim to have all the answers for Jack Squat. Like, I didn't even know the origin of Pandemonium. I didn't know until I researched it, Googled it. What's Pandemonium? What's the origin? Because some particular website, or actually it's a YouTube channel, the guy said he went to the city of demons called Pandemonium. And I thought it was an interesting story.
Yeah.
And I didn't have any reference for Pandemonium because I didn't read this particular book, but it's a fictional book about hell. And it's kind of like Dante's Inferno. You know how Dante's Inferno describes hell. Mm-hmm. Now, that's not scripture. Dante's Inferno is perhaps a vision or perhaps an inspiration. Perhaps it is like Dante described, or perhaps it's full-blown fiction and fantasy. But Pandemonium comes from a fictional story about hell. And it's pretty interesting. I looked for any Corners of Rooms references or anything like that. I couldn't find anything like that. But so it does mean hell. Pandemonium means hell in a fictional story. I can't remember what the story is called at this point. I can't remember. I'm ignorant of a lot of these things. But when people tell me I don't know anything about poltergeists, that's when I get a little defensive and I say, I was bombarded by poltergeist activity. We're talking 10 to 20 objects a night, every single night for 160 days in a row. And to the point, this is the end of the 160 days. A bunch of crap moving, and I'm like playing a video game or whatever. Actually, I didn't have I played video games on my PC. I play it like this. Yeah. But I'll be playing a game on my PC. A bottle of water flies across my room. A creak, my pencil thing falls over, a bunch of pencils. Tons of crap is going on. I'm like, That was literally my response after 160 days, almost comedic when I really look back and think about it, because you would think that you would be scared all the time. But when it becomes normal is about 2 months into it. About 2 months in, about 60 days in, it's normal. It's so normal that I thought it would happen the rest of my life. I didn't know there was going to be a 6-month cutoff. I didn't know. Wow. I assumed it was for life. I didn't know how I was cursed with it, but I hoped if I moved out, it would stop. And I did look probably every single week pretty thoroughly for an alternate room. I was paycheck to paycheck. I bought a new car. I had to make these car payments. I had to make credit card payments. I couldn't afford more than $500 a month. And it took me 6 months to find another place for $500. This place was $400. So I had to go up $100 to get out of this place. But I was going to say something. What was I going to say? Brandon, do you have anything to add?
Yeah, well, just going to that guy's comment or girl's comment or whoever it is. Yeah, I agree. Like Socrates says, I am wise because I know that I do not know. And that's Socratic wisdom. I agree with that. On the other hand, from that point of view, when you have a direct experience of something and you have independent confirmation of that, of course, be skeptical and rule out everything. But, there is some knowledge, I'm definitely not claiming to be an expert on anything for sure. And I say, be careful of the people who claim to know everything and things like that, or be able to see your future or communicate with dead people of your relatives and stuff. Don't have them in your life if you can help it,
Yeah. A lot of scientists that have written about poltergeist activity, which are few and far between. It's not a mainstream subject. It's a taboo subject. But those that have say, it's unknowable. It's a mystery. We don't know. But when you're a roommate with two poltergeist entities and they're intelligent and external to you, and 6 months, or actually it was 3 months into it, they jumped on top of me, grabbed my throat, my mouth, and my tongue. It wasn't me. I can't grab my own stuff. They did it. They're independent entities. And how can I prove they existed? How can I prove it? They entered my room in the corner of my room. Spirits entering the corner of my room. If you practice any of these crazy rituals, which I don't recommend, but many other people have already done it, you can learn from the mistakes of others. And without having to do those mistakes yourself. Right. And someone responded to me by saying, you can't learn from the mistakes of others.
Yeah, okay.
Well, you can walk down Skid Row and see someone suffering from addiction of this or that, and you can say, I don't think I'm going to try that. I don't think exactly. I don't want to know if I'm genetically addicted to that or not, because I don't want that to be the consequence. Yes, you can definitely learn from the mistakes of others, but
Skid Row is rough.
But I was saying something. I can't remember what I was saying. What was I talking about?
Oh, well, were you responding? You talking about the guy's comment there? Let's see. I don't know. I mean,
well, I can tell you Roger Morneau. Roger Morneau said, it's amazing what the human mind can adjust to where it becomes normal. The impossible becomes commonplace and mundane and normal and everyday. And when he said that, I related to him exactly. That's exactly what I thought, probably 2 months in to the poltergeist attacks that I have suffered with. I'm a victim, and there's no such thing as a poltergeist support group. It doesn't exist. Mm-hmm. But the David Blaine mentioned UFOs and aliens. There are here and there alien abduction support groups, and my personal belief is if they're not crazy, if they are experiencing some type of leaving their body sensation, or more specifically, they think they're going through the ceiling or the window into a spaceship, I think they're having a demonic lucid dream. And there are various books written by people that claim to have channeled aliens.
Yeah, it's just about I was just thinking that. Yep.
And one of the books I did a review of in one of my videos. I can't remember the name of it, but it's around here somewhere. And the alien was obsessed with religion. And the person writing it, channeling this alien, they were atheist. And they said, I don't know why this alien's obsessed with religion. It doesn't make any sense. Because he was a freaking spirit, not an alien. I think aliens do exist, personally. So when people say, oh, you're obsessed with spirits, man, what about the aliens? I, like many others, but this is independent, my own personal opinion. I can't prove it. I don't know if aliens have visited this planet or not. I don't know. I haven't seen any evidence.
Me either. Yeah.
Every single video anyone's ever shared to me, any video I've ever found after 1,000 hours of searching, has always been CGI or Bigfoot blurry quality. And people might say the same thing about ghost evidence. Bigfoot blurry quality. Most
Not
definitely.
really.
It's as pixelated can get. Oh, it's low resolution, man. My night vision camera appears low resolution because there are very few colors. There's only black and green, and it's pitch black. And when this thing was set off, I had a GoPro actually, and it was pretty high quality, the GoPro. And I'll show that footage, but there's a lady who read a book about reptilian aliens. She read this book about reptilian aliens to the point where I think she almost fell in love with some reptile alien.
Jeez.
And she said one night as she was getting ready to go to bed, a reptilian alien appeared in her room out of nowhere. And it stood there and watched her for a few seconds, and then it vanished in thin air. And she went on one of those UFO alien TV shows. She told her story. But I personally think that was a spirit reading the book along beside her. And they're like, I bet I can shapeshift into that. They tested it out. And for whatever the case, maybe it was 3 a.m., maybe it was the perfect twilight, the perfect crossroads. It was able to manifest and she could see it. Maybe she was in a trance-like state. We don't know what state she was in, but she saw it for a few seconds. She could have sworn it was a teleported physical being that teleported in and out like Star Trek. I say I've never seen any evidence of that, but I have firsthand witnessed spirits manifesting and de-manifesting to the point of moving objects and then leaving my room. And I lean towards spirit if physical evidence isn't physically left. So people are waiting for the White House lawn landing. I mean, just think if it was a spaceship that evaporated into clouds, and would you think it was a physical spaceship? I mean, I would literally have to see the Area 51 hangars and see the technology to believe. I'm very skeptical of physical flying saucers. I've never seen a physical flying saucer. I've seen a couple crazy lights in the sky, but they could have been military. And I've lived near military bases most of my life. So I'm a very skeptical person when it comes to ET.
Yeah. Well, and that's another thing that you mentioned and that you notice with a lot of people claiming to see Mary or Jesus and stuff like that, and how the church, or the Catholic Church at least, deals with those Marian apparitions, whether they're legitimate or not, is there's very objective criteria to deal with that. And, you know, if you notice in the Bible, if you read the Bible, Mary doesn't really speak a lot, you know, and things like that. She's very to the point, says what she has to say. Same thing with Christ for a lot of it. So when you have someone who's kind of bent towards Christianity, and then they have this dream or whatever, this vision where Christ appears to them or Mary appears to them, and then it just rambles on like a 500-page book of channeled material, I don't buy it. I think that's demonically or diabolically inspired, in my opinion.
Yeah, I think any non-physical being talking to someone in their head, channeling, is always a spirit 100% of the time.
Yep.
Blue avians, I don't know if they're real or not. All I know is they're not physical.
Right.
And a lot of these different ETs, I'm the ambassador to them. They're not physical. How come they don't hand you one of their death rays?
Exactly.
Or just hand you why don't they hand you a USB stick?
Yeah.
You know, a billion years more advanced USB stick. Just something harmless, a tiny piece of technology. Prove it. They can't, because it's a non-physical being. But Oswald mentions pandemonium comes from pan.
Oh.
Demonium. The deity Pan is chaos with goat legs, definitely hellish. Yeah, Pan is a satyr. And Pan, the Pan god, he's a god of ancient times and lowercase g, you know. But I did research Pan a little bit until I came across Jimmy Page, lead guitarist of Led Zeppelin, almost believed in Pan back in the day, maybe the 60s, 70s, maybe his Crowley obsessed era, you know, I don't know. But Jimmy Page was researching Pan, the satyr god, so much that he came to information that there's an island. I don't know where the island is. I think it's off of Africa. I could be wrong, but I think it's off of Africa. And it could be off of South America. I don't know. I'm pretty sure it's off of Africa. I was going to make a video on this, and I don't have all the details because I didn't fully research it. But I got to the point where there's an obscure island with islanders who all use these pan flutes.
Oh, wow.
And when asked who taught them how to play this pan flute song, passed down from generation to generation for hundreds of years, they say, oh, Pan, the Pan pipe god taught us this song firsthand. And they say it was a satyr, demon-looking entity, which they don't call a demon. I think they call it a god. And they said firsthand, not only did it teach him how to play it, it taught him how to make these pan flutes. And I think Jimmy Page took this literally. He went to the island and he recorded them play the song.
Oh,
and I think he was going to incorporate it into an album. But maybe it's a B-side. Maybe it's something that he never put on a record. But that would be interesting. That would be an interesting song to include that pan pipe playing. I don't know how literal that story is, but that's the legend of Jimmy Page visiting the island.
Well, you listen to Stairway to Heaven. It's the beginning of it is like that.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah. But the island does exist. I looked it up. I saw videos of people playing the panpipes. And so the island exists. The instruments are all reeds. You can see they make them themselves. And as for the origin of the song is mythology. But it's an interesting story. And I wouldn't be surprised. I wouldn't be surprised if a Narnia-looking satyr, you know, there's a lot of different religions that talk about such an entity. Even modern-day black magic practitioners claim that they're casually smoking a cigarette and they see this satyr-looking entity say, what's that noxious smell? You know,
yeah.
But he said, Azazel basically looks like a satyr. That's what he said.
Huh.
It's pretty interesting, huh?
Yeah, I mean, you see that image of the goat man pretty much throughout, outside of Christianity, outside of more ancient than Christianity. It goes back quite a bit, and it's in a lot of. And then there's that place you investigated, well, not Ghost investigated, but or did you Pan Pipes or no? What is it called?
Well,
is it called Pan Pipes?
Pan Pipes. I did enter it. I didn't own any ghost investigation equipment at the time.
That's right.
But I did have a camera, and she said, "What's this for? Is this personal?" And I said, "Yeah, it's just for personal use." She said, "Okay." So I filmed it, but I didn't put it in the video. I don't think. Did I? I don't think I put it in the video.
Well, you put the place in.
Because my channel isn't too personal. You know, there's going to be 10,000 people potentially seeing it. But you look at my numbers, there's really just 200 people are going to see it, you know. But I don't think I added it. But there's a goat head on the wall. It's like a taxidermy goat head. And I definitely got some type of negative vibe from that corner. Mm-hmm. If there was a spirit there, it didn't walk through me. I think he was hiding in the shadows. Mm. I think the place definitely had a vibe of, oh, you don't visit places like this. Because I'm looking at the stuff and it's, it's off the wall stuff. I was actually looking for their books because the legend is Bowie purchased books from this location. They had like 10 books in the whole store.
Oh, really?
But then again, it was 1976. And I asked the lady, was this place here in 1976? She said yes.
Oh, wow.
She said it goes back to 71 or something. I can't remember. But it would have been it would have been probably the only occult bookstore even near the Hollywood Boulevard. And I guarantee he would check out a main street like that. And Pan Pipes. Interesting. Poppy wants to advertise right next to Pan Pipes.
Oh, probably that's right.
Guarantee Titanic and Poppy go there. They sell magic wands. They sell crystals. They sell pentagrams. A few books. They sell bags with they look like voodoo juju bags.
Whoa.
They have a bunch of bottles with magic spell ingredients. They have magic candles.
No way.
It's a legitimate witches
apothecary or something.
Yeah. Yep.
Wow.
Yeah.
It's crazy, man. You don't see too much of those.
The lady was nice. She was nice to me. I told her about the Jimmy Page and the Pan Pipes thing. The Pan Island. Yeah. She said, I'm not surprised. Yeah.
Interesting. Let's see.
So, the spirit that I visit, I think the only thing that would scare me is if it full-bodied, turned into an angel of light. That would scare the crap out of me.
Right. Well, but I think it's the most incredible footage I've personally, I'm not just saying that because, I'm your friend or whatever, but just seeing and not knowing the context that you were crouching down and hearing the footsteps rush up to you or the camera or you and then shake the camera. That still is one of the freakiest things I've seen ever caught on film.
It's 100% authentic. I appreciate that. Some people think it's fake. There's one omission. I did do the tilt down, but I didn't do this. You know what I mean? So the shaking that matches was the entity. I tilted down because I had the impression it was right there.
Yeah.
Nothing. You can't see anything. And the most phenomenal thing to me, and I wouldn't even point this out if I faked it. If I faked it, I wouldn't point this out. The most phenomenal thing to me is I can't see a single blade of grass moving.
Yeah.
I looked at that footage 100 times. I can't see a single blade of grass, but it might be the low pixelated resolution of it being night vision. But I was holding, I'm looking for, I can't find it, but I was holding a infrared flashlight with my fingers as I was holding as I was holding the handy cam. And so my hands were full over here. And remember when I shouted, I said, "Hey, hold up. I'm trying to turn my camera on."
Yep.
Now, I've thought about this recently, and I'm thinking to myself, maybe it ran up to me because it thought the camera that I was pointing at it was off.
Oh.
Now, why would that be possible? This is off the wall and out there. Feel free to disagree. I could be dead wrong, but these entities can see into the future. Some of them. Perhaps it saw what I was going to say. I think these entities can see 1 minute in the future, 10 minutes in the future, maybe an hour. I don't know.
Yep.
Roger Morneau claims they could see a couple weeks. The horse race winner.
Horse races, yeah.
Now, I don't know how literally you want to take that story, but if this entity could see a 1 minute in the future what I was going to say, I said, "Hold up, I'm trying to turn on my camera." Maybe he was thinking about this camera. Now, I understand demons can see that the camera's on, but maybe that confused it enough to, I have no idea. Maybe it thought the camera was off. But I actually captured basically a real life gnome demon or leprechaun demon or whatever the case. It sounds like a joke. It's not. I was on my one knee. My right knee was on the ground on a dirt area. The grass I was on was like this short and flattened. It didn't make any noise because it was just stubble. And all of the grass sounds you hear, it sounded like they came from the corner, and that grass was tall enough to make that noise. And I'm still skeptical. It might have projected the sound of grass. And maybe it didn't move the blades of grass. Maybe like almost on a ventriloquism level, the entity could, like a, you know those birds that can repeat any sound they hear?
Oh, yeah.
Like there's a bird that can repeat a camera shutter.
Oh, really? I didn't know that. Huh.
Yeah, there's this nature wildlife photographer, and he was taking pictures like, and the bird flew up and went, and he was using that as
Cool.
he was using the camera shutter as its new song that it was
That's
singing.
pretty cool.
And it's a pretty cool bird, but I think demons could mimic any sound if they have that ability. This is the first time I've ever experienced anything like that. I was blown away, but I was skeptical. I'm a healthy-minded, skeptical person. You don't see the footage after, but immediately I walk up, I step on the whole area. And I probably cut 10 minutes of me stepping on the area every square inch. Every square inch. I was looking for a ground squirrel. I was looking for a snake, a hedgehog, whatever. I was looking for anything. There was nothing. It was a spirit, full-blown spirit. I have zero doubt it was a spirit because when I put this in the window and I asked it to set it off, it set it off. So I got reading on my millimeter. I do have devices I haven't used in the window yet, like this thing. This has a geophone where you can see if there's a tap on anything. And if there's a tap, this will go off. This is just temperature. The reason I turned this on is because I have never had success with this going off. Hopefully, I don't think there's a spirit going to bother me. But I don't do investigations in my room.
Interesting.
But I'm going to have a certain array. But from my experience, the last time I was there, I had this. I had the two on the side, and it set them off beautifully. I put up the 2 millimeters, and it didn't want to do 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 5 was too many. It was like overwhelming to it. Maybe it drains its energy. I don't know how the thing works. But it seemed to be so opposed to setting off the 5 after doing the 3 that almost it sent someone after me to chase me off.
Wow.
That's so weird. So weird. But I'm going back.
The thing with the shaking of the camera, though, I mean, and it seems to rush up, you know, and it seems to be at a particular height, and it has a particular gait with its footsteps. It's like, it's really strange. It's like
when it steps in the grass, it seems like the feet are this small.
Right, tiny, yeah.
Like really tiny feet.
Right, but fast. It seems.
It's real. I would take a lie detector test. I would take any test that exists. That footage is authentic. I would send the footage to Sony. I don't know if there's a Sony expert that would give a crud about it, but it's on a Sony Handycam night vision mode with an IR light. There's already an IR light built into the Sony Handycam, but it's like 3 tiny LED IR lights, and they're so weak that I needed an external light, and I even brought another one. And I'm going to bring the full gambit next time. I'm going to have everything ready to go, but I can't have 10 devices in the window. I think I'm going to try the door. I'm going to go there very soon in the next couple days. I'm driving 1,000 miles, and I'm going there for a different reason, but it's in the vicinity. It's in the neighborhood. So I can't not stop by. I'm going to try it I'm going to do it in the door. Now that I know that the entity is probably small or manifests small, they can shapeshift theoretically. I don't know. I think a spirit almost doesn't have a size, you know?
Mm-hmm.
And so maybe it could shapeshift into a 12-foot tall giant. I don't know.
Mm-hmm.
But I'm going to put this in the doorway, the very short wooden area at the door. It's this short off the ground.
Yep.
It's very short. Maybe I'll get better results at the doorway.
Mm.
I'm going to set off a different array. I'll probably include this one. And I mean, I've had too much success with this one in my room corner. I might try this one. It's not programmed. The thing is permanently super glued shut with just this is a dollar store battery. I haven't used this one ever since.
Yeah.
So I'll definitely put a brand new Duracell in here.
Yeah, I was going to say you had battery issues there with brand new batteries, didn't you? You said?
Yeah, but that's pretty common. That happens all the time. But this one, I'm going to put a brand new Duracell in.
Yeah.
And I'll try that.
And the millimeters, right?
I'll probably put this one in maybe 1 millimeter. Maybe if I put 4 things, it won't be overburdensome. I put these in the window, or the other ones, and nothing except for it seemed like a voice went.
Mm-hmm.
People are going to say it's a breeze, but it's a very interestingly timed breeze because I talk so much. I'm such a talkative jerk. I tell the spirit, okay, I'll be quiet for 5 minutes, spirit, and I'm quiet for like 30 seconds.
Yeah.
When I listen back, I'm quiet for 30 seconds. So next time I'm going to be quiet for legitimately 5 minutes and see what happens.
Be a little patient, and but you're in the heat of the moment, it's kind of hard.
Meditation, and I'm not a big meditator, but perhaps in that same spot that I knelt, I will meditate for a good 10 minutes. Maybe something will happen, and the cameras will be rolling. And to be honest, I'm going to have a second, maybe third tripod so I can film myself from a distance, just in case people think, oh, you're doing it. So you will see, then again, it's kind of like lightning in a bottle. How often does a spirit walk up to your camera and shake it? I'd be surprised if it happens again, but I did hear it rustling in that corner 3 times on 3 separate occasions. The last time I visited it, right after it set this off, the other one, it set it off, and then rustle like 1 second later. Right. I think it was showing off at how fast it can move. I think it was showing off, like, check what I can do. And literally, like 20 feet away, it went from touching that to 20 feet away in 1 second. Wow. Unless there are 2, and he was playing a different type of trick. Because these beings are invisible, I don't ever claim to know how many there are, what their actual identity is, why they're there. I don't know anything other than you can read them with actual devices. You can communicate with them. I'm not a psychic on a level of, oh, they died 100 years ago. Their name is Yanni.
Yanni.
I don't know any of that stuff,
No, yeah. I mean, I was going to ask you, too, about that, when the rock gets thrown. And that must have been pretty freaky. But was it how long before or after did you catch the apparition that you caught on film?
Okay. The only reason I caught the apparition is because of the sound of the rock.
Yeah, I thought so.
I heard a sound of a rock. I turned it.
That's right.
And the apparition I didn't see because I was so startled by the rock throwing. Only time it's ever happened to me. Out of gut reaction, I looked at it with my eyeballs, and there was about 5% visibility. So I could see barely something. Maybe 10% visibility at best, but still very dark. And I didn't see the wispy-looking, smoke-looking thing until like when I edited it last week.
Wow.
But knowing, now I can look at that footage and see how short that manifestation was. That manifestation was about 1 to 2 feet off the ground. Right. Very short. So it tells me how short the thing flies, unless I'm catching the glimpse of its cloak, I don't
Yeah, I
know.
don't know.
We
Yeah.
don't know what we're looking at.
It's just
But
amazing that it followed right after the rock throwing. That's just too much of a coincidence.
it
And
it almost
it's
like
there.
there's either two playing a game, like one threw the
Right.
rock and the other one flew past the camera, or it's the same one throwing the rock and then making the rounds past the camera. I don't know, but it's authentic footage. Anyone that says it's fake doesn't know me. They don't know who I am. I would rather be dead than fake that footage. On top of that, if I were to fake footage, I would make something a lot more magnificent than
Right.
that.
Exactly.
It's not
Yeah,
a smoke machine. It's not a fog machine. There's no dust in the whole video. There's no smoke. There's no fog. I was there for an hour straight. I even checked my breath at one point walking up to the bat house, and I couldn't see my breath.
Oh, wow.
Someone said, "Oh, those are just bats, man." I never said they were anything other than bats. I never called the bats ghosts. Yeah, they were bats. Thanks for...
Yeah, there were bats there. Yeah. That's silly.
I thought that was pretty cool because I've been there 3 times in the day before with no bats. So those
wow.
bats must seasonally move in or something because I'd never seen them there before until that first visit.
Are you going to go down in the reservoir? Ever?
What reservoir? Oh, that? Oh,
yeah, that's pretty freaky, man.
My nephew, who showed me the Pirate House in 2012. The only reason I know he showed it to me in 2012 because I took pictures on my ancient phone and tweeted it. So you can see a tweet from me for 2012 showing the Pirate House, saying, "Whoa, cool, Pirate House." And I tweeted it, and like 0 likes. And my nephew, who's big into parkour, he was parkouring down and parkouring up easily.
Oh, wow.
He could bounce down and bounce up. Now, when I said in the video that it's 20, 30 feet, I'm bad with math and I'm bad with numbers. Bad with math, bad with numbers. I think it's closer to 15 feet tall.
Yeah.
I think it's closer to 15 feet. But me, I couldn't get down that 15 feet and get up. There's no ladder. There's no anything. Wow. So my nephew just like bounces off the walls.
No way.
He like does he does like a corner parkour thing to get back up. I couldn't do that.
Oh, wow. I can't do that. Yeah.
I think actually he might have jumped like a basketball player and pulled himself up. But even that, you would have to do a pull-up of your whole body. It would not be easy.
No, not
so
at all.
I didn't want to risk it. I didn't want to try it. No, I'm not going down there. Especially in the middle of the night. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, it looked, I mean, when you shot the footage, I mean, it's hard to tell, but it did look about 20 feet, at least. But yeah, maybe it's probably like more like 15 or whatever.
Yeah,
but
it's like 15, but it's definitely a deep pool. And I was ignorant of what a grist mill was. All right.
No.
I'm an idiot. Okay. I don't, if anyone claims I think I'm the all wise knowing of everything, I only know what I experienced, or at least I can relate in my own words what I think I experienced. I never claimed to know all and be all or anything like that. But a grist mill makes food. It made food for the church. And so that particular building had a wheel probably attached or something. I don't know if it had a wheel. I think it had a wheel. Yeah.
Yeah, probably.
And they would grind grain in the grist mill, but it's very tiny for a grist mill. I look at the other ones online and they're huge, but this one's particularly small.
Someone just said that the bust of, Beethoven moved.
Well, I will look at the footage. I'll look at the footage, Dave.
That's interesting. I don't know. I didn't see anything, but
I'll look at the footage. I mean,
it does look like it's kind of in a little different spot. Perspective.
It looks like it's slightly turned, but I don't remember. We will look at the footage. It's never moved before. It's never moved before. I'm not going to touch it. I don't want to contaminate it.
Yeah.
This is the exact style bust as seen in the movie A Clockwork Orange.
Awesome.
It's the exact um, not only style, but the exact copy during it's not even a copy. It's the original creation that Stanley Kubrick probably picked up at a flea market or whatever, or
No way.
whoever worked for Stanley Kubrick. It's not the one from the movie, but
No, no, no.
it's the same line from the same factory that made the same one from the movie.
Wow, cool.
And it took me a couple of years to find it online. It took me a couple of years. I got it from Europe, and Kubrick obviously was in Europe filming, and it's the exact, because the feet are, it's like it's kind of like a pentagon type shape, but with more edges, and it's a shirtless. His chest is bare, and it's a very specific Beethoven bust. And I have the same comic you can see in the movie, Uncanny Tales, the exact same one. And
is that from the movie too? The Uncanny Tales? I didn't
Uncanny
notice that.
Tales and the bust are in Alex DeLarge's prison cell. He has it on
okay.
So if you want to know what scene that's in, it's in prison cell. Okay. You can see when the guy inspects his room. You can really see it. And there's another Beethoven bust in the cat lady's house, which is slightly bigger and looks like it's made out of metal or something. It's definitely a similar design, but it's bigger and it's a different one. But this is the prison cell one. And, I collect Clockwork Orange type things.
Memorabilia. Yeah, you have quite a collection, actually, of that stuff. Let's see.
There's a saying, grist for the mill, roll over Beethoven. Oh, I never heard of that.
Never heard that.
Never heard that. I did look at, I typed in grist mill ghost to see if it's a bad keyword search. I should have did this previously, but I saw like 10 other ghost videos with grist mills. And I think the only reason this is the case is we don't get our grain from grist mills anymore. We get them from major factories. We don't get them from hand ground grain. We get them from major factories. That's the reason grist mills are obsolete. If they're obsolete, they're all abandoned. If they're all abandoned, ghosts are going to move on.
Inhabit. Yep.
That's just what I noticed. And it's very common knowledge. I didn't notice it. A million other ghost investigators noticed it before I was born. But demons specifically, or call them whatever you want, spirits, they like to pretend they're humans. Go into work, go into whatever. I don't know what they're doing. I don't know. But they're clearly pretending they live there as a regular living person would. They're not pretending. They actually do live there. They inhabit the place. I don't know what they do, but they inhabit empty buildings. And there's an old religious belief that a particular individual of a certain religion said, you can inhabit abandoned buildings. And I can't even say the religion because, trust me, the video got flagged last time I said even the name.
Oh, I know what you're talking about. Yep.
Because apparently there are so many conspiracy channels saying negative things about that religion that they have to put it through an automatic robotic filter and check to see if you're saying something bad. I don't say bad things about other religions, not even Scientology.
Nope.
And I've had people try to make me say something bad about Scientology.
Oh, wow.
No thanks, no comment. You know what I mean?
Nope.
Human beings are human beings before they are their religion. That's my perspective.
Exactly.
I give people respect.
Yep.
And sure, some people might join a cult of a totally different thing in Canada. Who knows? They might join it in Africa. I'm sure there are cults all over the place.
Oh, yeah.
But they might even act like robots. But behind that, they're a human being. I try to give people respect,
Yeah.
Because
it's interesting. The Pirate House guy was a Bostonian too, right?
Oh, yeah. He was originally from Boston.
That's interesting. And because, there's so many old grist mills like that around in Boston, here in New England. There's one in Connecticut that's, one of the first set up by the new settlers. And the guy had to remember it in his head and take it over, the blueprints of making one. and it still functions to this day, and it's like kind of a tourist site. But anyway.
I mean, I hope Beethoven moved. I mean, I don't really hope, but that would be a pretty extreme sign. I just accidentally moved the entire camera, so I would have messed it up from now. But I'll look at it. I'll review it.
Yeah.
I don't notice movement in my room too often. 11 months ago is the last time I noticed. And before that 11 months, it would have been a year before that. So this room is not haunted, but I do get visitors. And Arthur Conan Doyle said, and Arthur Conan Doyle went to 1,000, if not 5,000 seances. He was a huge spiritist, huge spiritualist. It was his belief, religion, if you will. He just really believed in it, loved it. And he said he could get confirmation of his passed on mom and whatever the case.
Right.
I personally don't believe in that, but I respect his belief of that. And Arthur Conan Doyle, who went to thousands of seances, he knew all the top mediums in the world. And he was obviously a best-selling author of Sherlock Holmes, so he could afford to do so. He was definitely a celebrity author. He knew Harry Houdini personally. He knew a lot of famous people and was best friends with them. But he said only once in his life did a spirit enter his room and he could hear the footsteps.
Oh.
And I'm not bragging. I wish I had never experienced this in my life. I wish I didn't know anything about it, or wish they didn't bother me. But after they do, you have to talk about it, or you can suppress it your whole life. But I'm the opposite. I like to share. And footsteps in my room, or at least in 2011, that happened for 165 days in a row. Although the footsteps specifically probably only happened 6 times, maybe 5 times on different objects it was stepping on, although it sat on objects. But this room, 11 months ago, I heard footsteps on my carpet. And it's interesting to me. I've never been to a single seance in my life. Yet Arthur Conan Doyle sought that stuff out his whole life, and he only experienced a spirit enter his room once, because he specifically writes, "This has only happened to me once in my life. A spirit entered my room."
Right.
And he just laid down in his bed, and he was facing against the sound of the spirit walking around. And he said he was too scared to turn around. But I think he heard the spirit say, "I'm sorry," and then it disappeared. And then Arthur Conan Doyle said, it was my best friend who just died. He was apologizing. And that's possible. It's theoretically possible. So I guess not all the time it's a demon. It could be a loved one, even a best friend just saying goodbye. It didn't throw stuff around. It just made footsteps, and then it talked, which is a rare scenario.
Yeah, and Doyle, I think he went out of his way to try to prove in his own way. I think he was dealing with a loss, obviously, right, of like his kids and his wife, I think you mentioned. But he had like these fairy photographs and stuff, right? Like but they were obviously, I mean, he really wanted to believe. So, it's like if he really cites in it, an example of like, this is the first time this happened, then it's got to be notable for some reason, I mean, he's been to so many seances. I mean, in the thousands. That's incredible. It's pretty. And the spiritualists, like, I mean, you did a video where you can still go to their website today, and they're still around. And they still channel these things.
There's a lodge in England that it's booked up in a year in advance, and it's free. They don't charge a penny, and they record every session with a recorder like this. But the rules are that lights have to be off, no cameras. So there's only audio, and it's only recorded by the house. And it's booked solid, and it seems pretty legit to me.
Yeah.
And seems like a demon to me, because demons love the pitch blackness of dark on a cliche level. And I would say a human spirit wouldn't need that or want that. That's just me personally speaking. I'm not an expert at human ghosts. I haven't seen any that I know of other than in dreams. And so if I was a ghost, I wouldn't scare the crap out of someone in the freaking pitch black, especially the voices they manifest. And supposedly the medium sits in the corner of the room. And the Arthur Conan Doyle one, that sounds exactly like an Arthur Conan Doyle type.
Oh, he's, yeah.
Sounds like an actor, at least with a really good impression. And the channeler was supposedly a woman.
Oh, wow.
That's what the website says. I can't see her face. There's no video. I have to take their word for it. But even if he was a guy, I don't know. That's kind of interesting, you know?
Yeah, I mean, remember in Hereditary where she wakes Peter and the husband up and says, "Oh, we got to do this. We got to do this." And she's like, and then all of a sudden you hear, "Oh," and then she turns and you hear the Charlie and, "Mom, what's going on? Why are people scared of me right now?" And it's like a totally different voice manifesting from. It's freaky stuff, man. It's freaky stuff. I do believe. And the one, I mean, that really sounded like Gollum from Lord of the Rings, you know?
Yeah.
The second one, like, "These are my shoes. These are mine." Like, it was almost like a spirit inhabiting a body and being like, "Oh, these are mine. This is mine. This is mine. This must," you know? It's very, like, weird, man. Oh, wow. Whew.
Yeah, Sarah Winchester, she had a seance room at the Winchester Mystery House. She was obsessed with contacting ghosts. And every single night she would have a seance until I don't know if it started at 12 a.m. or ended at 12 a.m., but she would have the bell ring at 12 a.m. every single night. And the seance room is particularly small. It's very small. It's a small room in the center of the house. And there's a door that drops off into it drops like 1 or 2 stories. And so if you were to open that door and walk out, you'd die.
Yeah.
And that door is specifically for spirits. And she has a window that she can open them up and peek over the kitchen. So she could hear the gossip of the servants in the kitchen preparing food.
Wow.
So if they're talking trash about her, she could hear that.
Wow.
And the entrance, I think, comes from her room. And the exit is one way. There's no doors or anything. It closes to a secret wall. So she could secretly exit and no one could follow her because it's closed off. There's no entrance.
Wow. What a mysterious woman.
The only entrance is from her room. And it's interesting. She has one of the first showers ever made.
No way. Wow.
Her shower was built probably in the 1800s, before people had showers, Yeah. But she was so rich from the Winchester fortune. We're talking the equivalent of $20 million. And she had a custom shower made. It looks like pipes on the front and on the back. And there's holes punched in the pipes. So she would get in between the pipes and he would spray.
Oh, like a sprinkler kind of? Yeah. Wow.
Like a sprinkler. Yeah. It's pretty funny. But she had one of the first showers ever made, obviously. It's pretty cool.
Yeah.
But I guarantee that house probably was filled with demons because she pretty much invited them with a seance every night. If you have a random seance, come on, spirits, I call you. You're going to get the occasional wandering negative one. You're not going to get all rainbows and sunshine. Omar Corona says spirits are free roaming and you've seen genies in the daytime.
Really, Omar?
Some people can see them. I've never physically seen one. Even the one I caught on camera, I didn't see it at the time. And to be honest, I was looking with my regular eyeballs. I didn't see it.
Yeah.
It might have only been visible on the camera, which I'm glad, because if it was the other way around, what if I did see it and it wasn't on the camera? I'd rather it be on camera, but
I'll tell you, you don't want to. Yeah.
I think some spirits are free roaming. I think some spirits are stuck in locations. I personally think the grist mill ghost, who is nameless, I think they're stuck there because I was there in February 2018, July 2018, and September 2018, and he was there all 3 times.
Wow.
Doesn't seem like a being that could move It seems like it's stuck there. And it doesn't seem like a spirit I've ever encountered before. The reason I keep going back is because it kind of has a shy sense to it. Like it kind of has a visitor. Oh, I'm kind of scared. It has a weird personality, which is kind of cool, I guess. I don't know, but it's not overbearing. Even when it tried to scare me, it was kind of cute. I don't know how to describe it, but
Interesting.
I wasn't scared. It's almost as if
that's good.
It's almost as if even if I could see it, I would have seen a gnome. And it would be scary to see a gnome, but at the same time, it wouldn't be scary. You know what I mean?
Right. Yeah, because they're kind of cool looking.
Yeah,
anyway.
because they're so small, you wouldn't feel threatened by it.
True.
But when it came up and grabbed my camera, I didn't know he was grabbing my camera. It was shaking it so subtly that I didn't know he was shaking it. Kind of like a tiny entity trying to get your attention. You can't notice it because it's too small. But only after looking at the footage 30 times, I was like, you know what? I was kneeling on one knee on a balded area with no grass compared to the grass in front of me. I know for a fact I wasn't making the sound. So almost like it was struggling in the grass while it moved my camera. I did focus down, and then I focused back up when I didn't see anything. I didn't see anything ever.
Right.
And but I know for a fact it was a spirit, and it grabbing the camera. I've seen on Ghost Adventures at least half a dozen times the camera gets slapped, sometimes knocked on the ground. But even them, I don't think even they have had it slapped when it was in their hand. You know,
Right. Wow.
it's pretty rare. Pretty rare. I mean, I'm not bragging.
But you think, but the demon might, or the spirit might have thought it was off. You know. And
yeah,
so,
I mean, I don't know what spirits see. I don't know what demons see.
Yeah.
But I have read at least 6 times in my comments section, demons don't have eyes. They can't see. And I have to disagree because in the poltergeist room, they jumped on top of me and grabbed my throat. How are they going to do that if they can't see?
Right.
They systematically would knock over objects after what I had to assume was build up energy to do so.
Yeah.
They could clearly see that object.
They display intelligence. I mean, that's, they can see. Maybe not through a body, but through some way.
I think they have spirit eyeballs.
Yeah.
And I don't know what the spirit body consists of. It clearly doesn't consist of blood because they don't have any physical body. But I think the static electricity that ghosts radiate is actually not static electricity, but it's so close. It's so close to it that static sensors can pick it up. So I don't know. I was trying to I was thinking of coining a phrase like ghost static electricity. It's its own thing. I don't know. But when I mentioned it to the TV show people that did contact me, this actually happened. And I'm never going to release it because I'm too respectful of the process. It's not that I want to... people are going to call me a liar. Like this other psychic lady, she says she was contacted by a TV show. I was contacted by a TV show last, what was it, November, around Thanksgiving. And they said, interesting, we were doing a ghost show, and I was flattered and thrilled.
Yeah.
And they thought I sold ghost investigation equipment.
Oh, jeez.
They're like, oh, this is, I don't know. This is kind of a red flag. When you get an email from a legitimate production company and they're like, oh, you sell a bunch of stuff. Who's your best customer? I said, I don't sell any of this stuff. I buy it and I use it.
Mm-hmm.
But maybe they're so used to the average YouTuber that the only time they hold up stuff is when it's a secret advertisement.
Yeah. That's
like
not you, though.
Like,
yeah.
People like Casey Nice, I can't even pronounce his last name.
Neistat or whatever.
KCN, whatever. Every single item you see in every single one of the videos. Now, first again, he's a front page celebrity YouTuber with 1 million+ views every video. but every single time you see him hold a Panasonic camera, or you see him putting a battery in a device, every single tiny thing. Oh, look at this new drone I found. He's being paid big time money. Even the hotels he stays in.
And the airlines.
Gets paid to show everything. And, good for him. If Nokia or Panasonic is who I prefer, I like Panasonic. Mm-hmm. Panasonic said, oh, here's a free HD night vision camera.
Right.
I would advertise them, sure. But this production company thought I sold ghost hunting equipment. They said, who's your best customer? They said, we're interested in your best customer. They might make a good fit for our paranormal ghost TV show that we're working on. I said, I've never sold anything. Everything I have, I've purchased. I'm the best customer of someone else.
Right.
And when they saw that, they said, oh, cool. Well, then we'd like you to audition for a role that's not acting. It's an actual ghost hunting investigation show. I said, sure. And I've never revealed this, and who cares? It doesn't matter. And I have too much, to be honest, I have too much respect for them to release it. But I recorded the entire thing.
Cool.
I recorded the entire interview for my own personal, like, where did I screw up? Where did I screw up?
Yeah. That's good.
I didn't record it with those. I recorded it with my highest quality one, the Tascam.
Nice.
And so I recorded the entire interview, A to Z.
That's
if anyone
awesome.
Down the road says you're a liar, that never happened, I got it.
Oh, that's so
but
cool.
I did that for my personal records, and I understand you can't record someone without their knowledge.
Their permission, yeah.
I'll never release it. I actually do that on interviews, regular job interviews, occasionally. Yeah. And the reason I started it a couple years ago is because they say, oh, you're going to get this much an hour. And then you start working and they cut $1 or $2 off. And you're like, hey, wait a second.
Yeah.
In the interview, you said this much and now it's this much.
Oh, really?
That happened to me so many times. I started recording every single interview I do.
Yeah, absolutely. Wow, that's not cool.
Not for any other reason other than, you said it, I got it on recording. So.
Right. Yeah, keep your word, employer. Jeez.
Yeah, I've never had to use it. But,
I'll tell you the one thing I did see, and I didn't believe that you could see ghosts or apparitions or anything like that. Thought that if you did, they were very, very rare and few and far between. People are making stuff up, was my opinion at the time. But in this very first moved into this place, in this very bedroom, I was lying down, and it was right before the dawn. It was like right before light broke through the window, and I felt like there was something down the hall. I couldn't see it yet, but I felt like there was something down the hall, and I realized I couldn't move, and I wasn't dreaming. I was not. I've told this before a little bit, but and then the door opened, and I could see down the hall. There's like a hallway through my door there, if you could see. I'm not going to show you, but there's a hallway down there. And I could see this red, it was like an orangey red, kind of like, I can see why people say gin or smokeless fire in a way, because it was very, I didn't know what I was looking at, obviously, at first. It was just this little ball hovering. It wasn't that small or big or whatever, but it was hovering. It was like this red, orangey red, but very sharp. It was like very sharp is how I describe it. It was so sharp, the edges of it, because it wasn't like perfectly round, and it was just hovering there. But off of it, it was like, it did look like there was like smoke coming off of it, kind of, you know what I mean? And I was just like, whoa, what is that? But I'm saying this in my mind, and I'm looking around, and then all of a sudden, within a split second, it comes right over to me, and it applied a little bit of pressure right here on my throat, like right here. So I couldn't, like, almost it would prevent me from screaming, even though I couldn't. And as it did that, the light came in, and I still felt the pressure, and I finally gained into my senses, like, whoa, what was that? You know? And I think actually the first person I contacted was you. And I was like, oh my God, I just had this experience. I couldn't believe it. And it was not fun. I mean, it feels like you're defiled in a way, you know what I mean? Like, it's almost like someone took advantage of, you know, it's like an assault because you didn't give permission for this thing to come after you or anything like that, you know, and just happened. That's the only time I've ever seen anything like that. But
Wow.
yeah, it was pretty scary.
It's crazy. Yeah. So it was orange. I guess that's a common.
It was like yeah, it was an orangey red. It was more of like a red, more of a red, if I, you know, but like had orange, like an orange center, and it was a ball. And I don't, you know, and but the thing is like I can see, like, you know, you hear about these people describe them, and they do these drawings, and they draw them very sharp. I always wondered what was like, oh, I don't know what that is, but now I know what it is. It's like this very sharp thing. Maybe that's what the teeth are, what people call the teeth, you know. But yeah, very sharp. And then, like, as I saw it and paying attention to the details, little like smoke coming after it, but no sense at all. I couldn't smell anything burning or anything like that. But little like what looked like smoke, but it might have been something else, obviously. That's why they call the gin smokeless fire or whatever. It was very interesting.
The only time I ever saw an orangey thing was when I was playing a video game called Diablo. And I'm a huge fan of Diablo. I need to get rid of this because how many people have a demon action figure of the freaking
Blizzard.
devil himself? But this is Diablo, the devil himself. I bought this before the announcement of a new Diablo game, and I thought it was going to sell out and go up in value, and it probably is. I need to get rid of it, but just to prove I'm a big Diablo fan of the game, not the entity, you know. But I was playing Diablo. I was addicted to it. This was 1997, January 97. The game came out in late 96, and I bought it probably the week it came out. I was playing it. January 97, I was addicted to it. It just tells how old I am. Never mind, but I'm playing the game. I played it for about 40 hours in a row.
Whoa. Wow.
And that's the longest I've ever been awake, ever. It's dangerous. You're not supposed to be awake that long.
Yeah.
So I've never done it ever again. But as I was about to go to bed, after playing Diablo for 40 hours straight, I was a kid, right? I didn't have a job. I didn't have anything, you know?
Yeah.
So it was probably summer. And no, it wasn't summer. It was freaking January. Maybe it was some type of winter break. I don't know. Whatever the case, I didn't have school or it was the weekend or something. Anyway, I played Diablo for 40 hours straight. I was in the zombie mode of considering going to bed. I was like, I need to sleep. I can't play anymore. So I'm walking to my bed, which is just like 2 feet away, you know, and I see a tarantula about the size of my hand. It was about this big. And it was literally like, it wasn't moving, but it was near the pillow area. And it was a little bit lower than the pillow. It was a tarantula about the size of my hand. It was neon orange.
Whoa.
And when I saw it, I was like, what the F? Now I can't go to sleep. There's an effing tarantula. And I was scared for about an hour. So I probably stayed up for like 41 hours until I realized, maybe it's not real.
Yeah.
And I just collapsed of being too tired. But I was scared for about an hour to go to sleep because I saw a freaking orange tarantula on my bed. Maybe that was a demon. Maybe I saw it because I was so tired in a trance-like zombie state. I don't know.
Yeah, playing that video game, especially with all the occult imagery in there.
Yeah. So it could have been a hallucination. Most definitely probably was. I'm a scientific believer. But at the same time, I believe spirits exist. And it could have been a freaking demon waiting for me to go to sleep to induce some demon dream or something, you know, suck the life force out of me. I don't know. But yeah, that's the only time I ever saw something orange. It was neon orange, and it didn't seem to have any hue of shades of color. It was only one color,
Okay.
neon orange.
Interesting.
And it was clearly a spider, too big. I've never seen a spider this big before. Too cartoonishly big. But theoretically, there probably is a tarantula this big in real life.
Yeah.
Maybe like the biggest tarantula is that big. But I guess a spirit could take that form. But that's the only time I've ever seen anything orange.
You know who just got a tarantula? Is Shadow, who won the contest tonight.
Oh, okay.
He just got a I think it's actually, I got to look it up, but I think he called it like an orange tarantula or something like that. I swear, I don't know. Maybe I forget, because maybe a purple toe or an orange toe or pink. That's it. It's a pink toe tarantula or something like that.
Wow, cool.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think I have a tarantula living in my front yard underneath a rock.
Oh, wow. Really? Those things creep me out.
There's this big stone, like the stepping stone, and a tarantula made its home underneath it. But they're harmless. They're not going to bite you or anything.
Right, for the most part.
Yeah. But I want to tell the story about the cow level in Diablo 2. And I wanted to tell this story for a while. So I'm going to cut this segment out. I'll put it on my video game channel.
I'll mute. Yeah.
No. You can unmute. Because we need, it's not a big deal. This is not supernatural. It's just, I played Diablo 1 when it first came out in, we're talking December 96, January 97. Maybe it came out before them. I don't know. But I was playing it every day. I was a paladin, and I was the best. Now, maybe it was a warrior. I was a big fan of the warrior class. And I had all the spells. I had all the reflections. And I got bored with the game. So I would just go into the battle.net chat and chat with people. And I was just a little kid, right?
Mm-hmm.
And one of my favorite bands is Stone Temple Pilots. So I had their new album. I mean, new at the time. 96 it was when their album came out, I think.
Great album, yeah.
Maybe it came out in 97, but this isn't their first album or anything. It was their third album called Tiny Music.
Yep.
Tiny Music, Songs from the Vatican Gift Shop, or something like that.
Oh, really?
That's the full title. Something from the Vatican Gift Shop. I don't know if he was trying to make fun of the Vatican or what, but on the back it says Demon Away Spray or something. So they were kind of making fun of spiritual things. I don't know. Just his angle was just, who knows, right?
Right.
Definitely an Irish guy, I think. Scott Weiland, rest in peace.
Sounds like it, yeah. I saw him live once, yeah.
Oh, yeah, cool. I mean, I think he had natural red hair, I'm pretty sure, He definitely looked Irish. Maybe not, but he looked Irish.
Okay.
And so I was listening to Tiny Music over and over and over and over and over on a loop, playing Diablo 1 in the chat room. And the song Seven Caged Tigers is just playing, that's not my favorite song on the album, but it's one of the better songs on the album. It's definitely in the top 3 or top 4, one of the best songs on the album. And in the song, I'm chatting. I wasn't really talking trash. I was just, how's it going? Just really newbie stuff. But at this time, I was a veteran of the game. I played it since day one. I remember these 2 guys challenged to kill me in the game. And I was like, bring it on, suckers. And we met at the church. There's a chapel in the game, and it leads to hell, Oh,
and great.
So we go to the first hell crypt entrance, and these 2 guys come at me, and I have a spell that ricochets everything off, and it kills them or whatever. Whatever the case, I killed them both instantly. And I think I collected their ear. You think you get their ear or something like that. Anyway, maybe I'm confusing Diablo 2. I played Diablo 1, 2, and 3 so much that I confuse them, but I've played and beat all of them. And this was, you have to understand, 1997, a long time ago. I mean, many years ago. But I beat these 2 guys day after day. I would play, like I said, I played a freaking 40 hours in a row one time. And in the chat room, people would make obscene gestures, say obscene things, and they would have to disguise it, just like a filter would. And people would make an obscene gesture, and I would make swords. I would make a sword, another sword, and just for fun. You're a little kid, you don't.
Yeah.
And I pretty much invented the sword. So people would copy me. People would start making swords instead.
Oh, cool.
And it never became a thing. There's no such thing as a sword emoji or whatever. A sword. This is pre-emoji. This is the realm of emoticons. So I pretty much invented the sword emoticon.
Wow.
And no one used it, never caught on, but it was popular for a few seconds in battle.net. And there were these guys that would talk trash. And very common thing was to make fun of the new people. You could see what level everyone is in the lobby. You can see that dude's level 1. You can see it. And so people would there were maybe one guy or two guys started making up a fictional level. It didn't exist. They're like, oh, did you hear about the hidden level? Did you hear about that hidden level? See, I beat the game A to Z, and I knew there was no hidden level, that they're lying. And I virtually created the mythology in Diablo 1 about the cow level. It's a very famous mythology. People are going to say I'm lying. So I'll say I co-created it. I didn't create the lie of there's a secret hidden level, man. There were one or two other guys already doing that. But I was listening to Seven Cage Tigers, a song by Stone Temple Pilots on the album, which was fairly brand new at the time. And there's one line in that song, and I knew the song memorized. And there's one line in the song where Scott Weiland sings, look at those cows, they fly. And it's a nonsensical line. Look at those cows, they fly. It makes like no sense, but it stuck out to me. These guys are lying about a secret level in Diablo. I knew it didn't exist. And I said, oh yeah, it's a cow level. There's cows there. And then they chimed in and they said, yeah, there are cows there. Yeah. And it's me and maybe one or two other guys, but I threw the cows in there. I don't pathologically lie. Okay. This is just as a kid in the chat room trolling for fun. I don't even troll. I don't like John Teeter troll and create cults.
Yeah, that's crazy.
But I'll come clean, I mean, and this many years later. And people aren't going to believe me, but I invented the cow aspect to the fictional level in Diablo 1, which never existed. And this mythology built up so high that after I said, oh, yeah, it's a cow level, I even said, oh, the cows fly. I included the cows fly or the cows have wings because in the song it says cows fly. And that never caught on. The flying cows aspect never caught on. But the cow level caught on. And I came back to the chat room the next day, and people are still talking about this cow level because I gave it a name. The unknown secret level. People talked about it. People were like, BS, man. But the second I called it the cow level, everyone started and I'm pretty sure I said, oh, yeah, you have to kill the cow in Tristram, the town. If you have to kill the cow, that's one of the ways he opened up the portal. And I think the two other guys said you had to get something from the little boy. There's a little boy who trades stuff with you in the game, and he has a wooden peg leg. And I never said anything about the boy. I said you had to kill a cow and you get there, whatever. We're making up BS. We're trolling.
Sure.
Well, this reaches this. Okay, we're talking the next week. I'm in a random game, right? And I see like 2 or 3 players trying to kill the cow in the game. And I'm like, what the heck? You can't kill it. It's invincible. Why are you trying to kill the cow? They're like, oh, we're trying to get to the cow level, man. I'm like, what the heck? That's hilarious.
Wow, cool.
You guys are so stupid.
Oh, my God.
This spread so much, it reached Blizzard.
No.
To the point where in Diablo 2, they added an actual cow level to the game.
No way.
There's a secret cow level. You got to get the peg leg from the boy. So they got that aspect from the lie of the other guys making up the. I think they might have made up the peg leg from the boy. I don't know if they said peg leg. They might have just said boy. Blizzard might have made up the peg leg, but you have to get the peg leg. I think you need to put something in the socket, and you open a portal, and you can get to the cow level. It's common knowledge. Everyone knows.
Okay.
But I did interject to cow level, because I was listening to Stone Temple Pilots' Tiny Music album, specifically the song Seven Caged Tigers, where Scott Weiland says, look at those cows, they fly. That was playing the exact second I was in the chat room, and I was thinking of what to add to the story. That's 100% a true story. That's the origin of the cow level story. Rest in peace, Scott Weiland. He influenced that. And few people are going to believe this. But I believe it. I'm a huge veteran of Ultima Online, and before Ultima Online hit beta, we had to wait months because the alpha was only a couple weeks in 96. We had to wait many months, and during that months, the best game out there was Diablo 1. So I grinded Diablo 1 A to Z many times, and then the Ultima Online beta test during E3, Phase 1 came out, and I got my disc. I paid $5 for, and then I got the second disc for Phase 2. You didn't have to pay for a second disc; they mailed it to you. And I beta tested Ultima Online almost every single day, and I beta tested Ultima Online so much, almost as bad as the 40 hours. I would regularly play it for like 20 hours.
Wow!
And I was in high school at the time, and I remember going to history class. And I know this is off the subject, but
no, it's cool.
They're talking about the Mayans, and they showed a video of the Mayans in history class. And remember, I just played Ultima Online all night long, and the beta test. And they're showing a video of the Mayans sticking like a dagger through their tongue.
Yeah.
Like super creepy stuff that would normally make me freaked out, I don't like that type of stuff. And it's just a silhouette. It's just a silhouette of a guy going, ugh. And like it's not even that good as a horror movie. It was like something from the History Channel talk about the Mayans.
Yep.
And I passed out and I fell on the floor.
No way.
But most of it had to do with sleep deprivation. I played Ultima Online all night.
Yeah, no kidding.
And when I woke up, the teacher's like, "What's going on? What the heck's wrong with you?" And I was like, "Oh, I played a video game all last night." But
wow.
Anyone who knows me knows I joined the UDIC, Ultima Dragon's internet chapter in 97, and I played Diablo 1 since day one, Diablo 2 since day one. I waited on Diablo 3. I guess I got it. I did. I pre-ordered it. Yeah.
Wow.
I still have the D3 pre-order, and I was a little bit disappointed by it.
Wow! Look at that thing.
A little bit disappointed, but really? I'm a big enough fan where I did get the update patch where I did get.
Wow!
They're just into money making, and I'm not.
Yeah.
They have part 2 as elaborate as part 1. But,
well, that's interesting though. So you were saying that there was a secret cow level. So Blizzard or somebody must have been monitoring that chat room or something?
It's more than that. A week later, everyone was talking about it in the entire game. A month later, Blizzard was talking about it to the point where a year later, it was a permanent idea to put in Diablo 2.
That's incredible. That's really cool.
I mean, the reason I've never told the story is it sounds like I'm lying.
It doesn't, man. No.
I'm not bragging about it. I just co-created the mythology. I co-created by inventing the cow. I didn't invent the original. There's a secret level. I just invented the cow aspect to the secret level. And
that's still pretty cool.
It's pretty cool because it
didn't exist before. I mean, I played Mario when I was a kid in Maniac Mansion, and I always thought, wouldn't it be cool if this or that? But it never happened,
This guy remembers duping. Yeah. Oh my gosh, duping.
Oh yeah.
Diablo 1. Oh, I would dupe with the potions. The potion dupe. Yeah, it's the reason in Diablo 2, whenever you pick up an object, your potion belt becomes unusable because.
Oh wow!
Yeah, But David Blaine asks, how do I summon demons and get favors?
Oh, geez.
First of all, I don't know. Second of all, if I did, I wouldn't tell you because I'm anti-practicing of anything like that. My channel does explore the occult, and occult is a generic term for secret knowledge. There can be positive secret knowledge. There can be most definitely negative secret knowledge. But the occult, generally speaking, usually focuses on black magic these days. I'm not a black magic practitioner. I don't summon demons. I have to admit, I do go to ghost haunted places and try to get evidence. And even when I do get evidence, few people believe it. Few people believe. I don't know what it is, but maybe 60, 70, 80% think I made it up, faked it, programmed it, did something.
Well, it's because 99%, they're used to 99% of YouTubers making stuff up. And like,
I know,
you look at that evidence and it's like, oh, I wouldn't believe, like, I honestly, like, I don't know. If they knew you, though, if they had the time to like look at your previous videos and, everything else and get to know you or whatever, like, then they wouldn't say that. I feel
that's
like,
why I invited you to the ghost.
I know. I wish I could make it, man. I just left.
I think in the future you can make it.
Yeah, I'll be out there in the future.
I invited my nephew who showed me the place.
Right.
And he basically said, no thanks.
Really?
I think he's scared.
Yeah, it's scary. I honestly got like, when I didn't know what it looked like really, and I'm picturing Pirate House. I saw like the little things that you would show of it, like tiny bit, but I didn't get to see like the whole thing in the dark. And like that video is just so creepy. And I think you messaged me after like, still want to go to the Pirate House? You sure? Yeah. And I was thinking like, yeah, I'll still go. Yeah, because it's a fun adventure and probably catch some data and it'll be good for the channel because I can be there as an independent witness to whatever. You know what I mean? I'm not scared of it.
One of the supporters of this show said, why do you want to have a second person as a witness? That's over the top. First of all, I'm a minded person. I don't know if the spirit will reveal itself when two people show up. I don't know. Yeah. I think it will. I think if I brought a group of 10 people, it'd be intimidated.
It'd be less likely. I think so.
I don't think 2 people would be too many. It's a real entity. It exists just like a human exists. Just like it almost seems animalistic. Yeah. I'm not talking down to the entity, but it almost acts like an animal on a chain, and it's stuck there for some reason. And I wasn't afraid of it following me. I don't think it's ever followed me. I drove to Los Angeles after I got the amazing evidence on this, and I was walking down Hollywood Boulevard. That's when I did the Hollywood Boulevard investigation. Literally right after getting the best evidence on this at the grist mill. And some guy on the street, he's like, what are you doing? I'm like, ghost investigating. I just got some amazing evidence at a pirate house. And he's like, and he kind of just doesn't care. He dismisses it like whatever. But it was a pretty crazy night because it was the same night I got some pretty crazy evidence on Hollywood Boulevard itself.
Wow. So you drove from the Pirate House down to L.A.
Straight to Hollywood Boulevard.
Wow, no kidding.
No stops, just parked and did that. And jeez. I think the ghosts on Hollywood Boulevard, which might be centered around Ripley's Believe It or Not, because there's shrunken head. I mean, I don't know about the shrunken heads. Those are pretty much fake. Shrunken heads is a gimmick.
Is it?
As far as I know, someone proved me wrong. I haven't researched it thoroughly, but I'm pretty sure the natives they get skin. They wrap it around like a fake skull that they create, and they put real hair. But it's just a gimmick to sell to tourists, as far as I know. Now, maybe there's a real one, but I think there's definitely fake ones that I know of. But there are real skulls. There's a number of real skulls at
Ripley's Believe It or Not. Yeah.
there's a skull with like nails in it or something like that. And
Oh yeah, there's
ritualistic skull. There's a pain god with a bunch of nails in it.
whoa.
And Ripley collected a lot of crazy haunted type objects. I'm pretty sure that's the headquarters of. I mean, at least that's what the Ghost Adventures guys thought. But I think the spirits there are full blown familiar with a Melmeter. So when they saw me walking down the street, they're like, "Oh, we've seen that device before. The Ghost Adventures guys were just here."
Right.
And they did set the Melmeter off. And when I saw that episode, I bought the exact same Melmeter Zach Bagans had.
Oh, wow.
Highest model. I wanted to get the best one. And so they're even familiar with that model. And Ripley's, believe it or not, has neon signs all around the whole place, like huge neon signs. So I guarantee maybe the Ghost Adventures crew discovered neon signs. They have to know by now. They have to know neon signs set it off.
That's interesting. So I've been to the Ripley's, believe it or not, in Orlando, Florida. And that's an interesting one. They have, the tallest man ever. They have like a life-size replica model of him, like a Madame Tussauds wax model of him. He was like 7'11" or something, or 8'11" or something crazy, some crazy height. I think it was 8'11" if I'm not mistaken. Maybe it was 7'11", but I think he was 8'11" tall. He was only like, he died when he was like, I think 30 or something like that, like really young. Wasn't young, but they also had. I'm a big fan of Ripley's, believe it or not that big anymore, but I used to read it all the time. But I talking about skulls, they had. Have you ever heard of Phineas Gage? The Phineas Gage story. This is a guy. He was working on the railroad back in the day, and one of the railroad spikes came up and went right through his eye socket, through his skull.
Oh yeah, and he didn't die.
He didn't die.
Yeah,
but it was an anomaly because like it messed up his brain function and like he couldn't do certain things. So that's when they started, like, neurology was invented, pretty much. Well, kind of invented, I guess, because they said, "Oh wow, okay, he's still alive, but he doesn't have
probably
this capacity."
lobotomies. Maybe lobotomies.
Yeah, maybe. Yeah, I forget exactly what it was, but I believe they still had the skull, and I think they actually had a rail through it. They still kept it through there.
Yeah,
man. So
David Blaine, who knows who this David Blaine is, anonymous character, but he asked about UFOs and aliens again. I mean, I can answer the best of my ability. Alien abductions exactly match the shamanistic experience. There are shamans for thousands of years. They take shamanistic drugs, or some of them just beat drums or meditate like a monk. There are different ways to go into a shamanistic trance, but the shamanistic drugs is one of the more common, popular ones, even thousands of years ago. And when they leave their body, they go into we're talking a kaleidoscope world of different angles, and they see some ascended master, and they get information from it, and then they go back, and then they're in their body, and they're usually the medicine man of their tribe type situation, and they're the wise elder of their tribe. And to me, that exactly matches many people's UFO abductions. They go to a place, maybe it's not the same ascended master, but they're going to entities and they're getting communications. Sometimes they're told, "Oh, the earth, we're here to save you." I can see the ascended master is trying to say the same thing, ancient times. I think it's the exact same scenario.
Sorry, I had to switch devices there.
It's okay. So, yeah, we're getting pretty long on here, but did you hear about that, what I was talking about?
No, what'd you say? Sorry.
Oh, just that alien abductions are
what's your point?
Shamanistic experiences.
Oh, right. It does mimic the shaman. Like they, what did you say?
Oh, that the shaman will take the drug. Is usually the elder, usually the medicine man of the tribe. He will leave his body and go into like a kaleidoscope dimension of some lucid universe where he knows he's out of his body. He meets an ascended master. They give him information. He goes back to the tribe and he enlightens them on what he learned in this other dimension. It seems exactly like the alien abduction scenario to me. Sure, there might be a twist, but I think it's the same thing.
Yeah. Yes, I mean, other dimensions. Yeah, same entity. Encountering entities and then coming back. I just think with the shamans, they have done it for so many years and so long that it's normal, not normal, but it's for them, they're used to it and they can navigate. They have more of a roadmap than people who think they're UFOs or aliens or whatever,
Yeah, like, DMT might be a shortcut shamanistic drug. And people taking DMT, they're just doing it for recreation, right? Mm-hmm. They're not a medicine man of any status where they're preparing for this spiritual event. So they're shot from a relaxed situation where they just want to recreationally have a trip. And sometimes they're taken to a ascended master who maybe look like a reptilian, maybe looks like a wolf man, who knows?
Or a goat.
He might look like a blonde Palladian, whatever. I mean, people claim that
Billy Meyer.
Nordics, but he might look like Jesus. I mean, it might look like Pai Mei, like a kung fu master. It might look like many different things. A monk. And these people recreationally taking something like DMT, they're not there to get enlightenment. They're like, whoa, that's crazy, man. They get back. Yeah. They're like, whoa, did you see what happened? Oh, that was crazy. And they can't articulate what a shaman would go there to try to get information. Someone recreationally, they're so awestruck, they're not getting information other than
exactly.
That. So
that's right. Bewilderment. And I think Joe Rogan, when I first heard about that, he was talking about his experience and he was like, he's like, you get it's like, and I think Terrence McKenna said the same thing, like the only thing you have to fear is death by astonishment or something like that. But that's not what you want to do. Like maybe the first time your mind is so blown away by what you see that you can't even talk about it. Mike Tyson was talking about it with Joe Rogan. Mike Tyson's done DMT and stuff like that and come back and it's really chilled him out and had positive effects. But like if you can take information, like for example, ayahuasca, my friend went on an ayahuasca retreat. It's kind of mysterious how they found out that this certain vine and this certain leaf of like, in the Amazon rainforest is like 3,000 species per square inch or something crazy like that, right? So of all the different combinations of things they could have brought together, they'll tell you, the shamans there will tell you that that the spirits told them to combine those two things.
Wow.
Yeah, and so they get prophecy about it. They supposedly heal illnesses and stuff like that, and that's where you get like, at ayahuasca, I think it means school. It's like more of like a school. The concept, like you keep going and you keep learning and you keep training. But I think there is a potential demonic element towards it. Like you definitely are witness to all kinds of different ancient nature entities and all kinds of different, the dimensions definitely blur there, and you're allowed to peek in for a moment, and for most people, they're just like, oh my God, this is crazy. Like the recreational user that you see nowadays. But, shamans have way more respect for it,
Yeah. The movie A Dark Song.
Yeah.
The occultist, the sorcerer guy, he says, he's fascinated by the architecture of the universe. And you said, you can peek and see, get a glimpse. I'm fascinated by that, and I think I experience that every time I turn something like this on at a legitimately haunted location. You can almost see by not seeing the boundaries. How does a spirit exist? Aren't spirits non-physical? Does time exist to them? I mean,
That's a trip right there, and it's a natural one, you know?
yeah.
Yep.
I
No
don't
need.
know the answer. I don't know how they perceive our lower dimension. I don't know.
Right.
But there's a comment. Whitley Strieber spoke about an experience that seemed to be real. I mean, I believe Whitley Strieber
Interesting.
experienced demons, and
Yeah.
it's not a stretch. He never called them aliens; he called them visitors.
Visitors. Right.
And watch the movie Communion, starring Christopher Walken. It's actually a pretty good movie, and it's not a stretch. Just think this is a demon instead of an alien. The whole movie, and it's not a stretch. Every single scene with the aliens is demonic. I mean, at least it appears demonic. The thing appears, I think, in the corner of his room behind his dresser, and it peaks, and then it disappears, and it's gone. And when he enters the spaceship, it really looks like the type of demon lucid dreams I have. Just all kinds of funky stuff going on. The aliens were like dancing.
Oh,
And
really? Oh, yeah.
he walks into the UFO and they're having like an alien party. Like it's not serious at all. It's like it's like a totally random dream with totally nonsensical. A manufactured dream that's not real. You think in real life he went into a spaceship and the aliens were dancing? That's a dream-like state in a lucid-like dream. That is not a physical thing going on.
Right.
And when he says, "Show me your face, show me your true form," it takes off the mask and there's like a demon-looking creature underneath. So it's not a stretch that they were demons. Even Whitley Strieber, who I'm sure there was artistic license and they changed things a little bit here and there for Hollywood reasons, but I guarantee his book, Communion, and him being on set telling them what he was like, I'm sure he was like that to an extent. He says they kind of haunt him to this day.
Yeah.
That's a haunted spirit haunting. It's not aliens. In my opinion.
I didn't realize, someone told me today because I was having a conversation with a guy earlier, this interesting guy, Jason Horsley, and he said he was talking about Whitley Strieber. He studied him quite a bit. He might have written a book. Oswald can correct me on that, on Strieber, and he was talking about how he's interesting because like he's tortured by these visitors, but yet he still like seeks them out, and he seeks like occult knowledge too at the same time. But also, I didn't know this, he's Catholic, and he was like a born and raised Catholic, Whitley Strieber, and continues to be Catholic, which is kind of strange. But he claims, Whitley Strieber anyway, with an interview with Peter Lavenda, that Whitley Strieber was in school and he was doing a documentary in London on him and his friend on the Process Church of Final Judgment, this like crazy out there church that believe that like Satan and Jesus are part of the same being, and they use like crazy symbolism. It was kind of like it's a cult basically. And he said he was like chased on the rooftops by people who were trying to murder him, and they were doing like sacrifice, all this stuff, and blah blah blah. But it's so strange because he comes off very normal sometimes, but then you're like, as soon as you poke into his story, it's like that's not normal at all. He grew up, I think he lived like very close to a military bases, so there's like questions of like mind control going on there and stuff like that. But I think some of it took place maybe in New England or New York or something like that. In the woods in upstate New York. I forget exactly, but interesting story.
Yeah, Fire in the Sky, Travis Walton.
Oh yeah,
that movie
yeah.
kind of reminds me of Communion.
Mhm.
If you watch the movie Fire in the Sky and think these are demons, not aliens, you can see a similar thread. And
Yep.
I don't know, you know.
When I was a kid, that movie scared me so much, me and my friend, that we wrote Travis Walton. I wish I still had the letter. And it took him like 3 months to respond, but he typed us a letter back. You know, we were asking like, did that really happen? He's like, yeah, it did happen. You know, that was basically the answer. But yeah, I mean, man, that scene where, I mean, that's etched. Talk about etched into my memory, man. Where like, oh my god, crazy. But
What scene?
yeah, it was pretty cool. Oh, like when he gets interrogated by, well, not interrogated, but when
On the table?
I don't know, he's like floating around, and then like he's on the table, and like the skin comes over him, and they poke the thing in the skin, and then like,
oh yeah, yeah. Well,
man,
when I just watched this, I just watched To Fire in the Sky literally like a month ago, and
cool.
I was thinking, you know, what if these are demons? And sure, I'm familiar with a couple people left a couple comments. Don't you know they got paid from a tabloid for submitting the story? Well, first of all, if you watch the story, you understand they lost their government logging contract and they were all jobless. So even if it did happen, they still would have been desperate to pay the rent and pay the bills. And I can see them submitting the story to a tabloid for $5,000. I can see them doing that even if it's real. So that doesn't really discount the existence of the story.
No.
He was legitimately missing. There was a search for him. Where was he if he was demons? That's pretty much the hardest question to answer. I don't know where demons would have taken him. That would be an extremely rare scenario because if this is the case, because that scene where he's floating in the spaceship, to me, looking at that scene where he's floating and he drops his keys or whatever, and and he has to float into another chamber, and he thinks, and they're in a suit, and he sees it's a suit. The alien gray thing is a suit.
Oh, that's right. Yes.
And then they grab him, put him on the table, and put that thing and stick it through his mouth, and he loses consciousness. But to me, that whole scene looks like a lucid dream, specifically a demonic lucid dream, because I've had a number of demonic lucid dreams. Sometimes they're so out there that you are floating and random stuff happens. Like you're floating in the sky, that entities are dancing. Crazy stuff happens in a regular dream, but a demon dream it's not a nightmare. Sometimes I wake up from a demon dream and I think, wow, if that was created by an entity as opposed to just my subconscious, which I'm always open to that being the case, but I think, wow, that the script and the sets are really corny, and it wasn't scary at all. You guys need to try harder because that wasn't scary. Nice try.
Right.
So sometimes I wake up from a demon dream. It appears to be something constructed by demons, and it's funny and not scary.
Well, it's because they try to mimic, right? They can't create, so they can only mimic. And if you pay attention, something's always a little bit off. So like it might seem like your room or your house or wherever, like wherever they construct the dream for you or whatever, if you want to believe that, and I do. But something's always like a little bit off, I guess. I've never like been in the dream and been conscious enough to like be like, oh yeah, that's off a little bit. But like very rarely I have noticed that, like, oh wait, like my couch is like, is blue, not green, or little tiny little differences. It's almost like they construct this environment for you to be in or something like that. It's very, very different,
Well, it's getting super late, but
I was gonna say,
we got to get heading out and ending. But thank you, Brandon Young, for the chat. Is really interesting.
Thank you, John. That is always a pleasure, man, and congratulations on the 10K.
Yeah,
and I was here when
first place. I guarantee it's not rigged. That was 100% random.
I saw it.
So let me congratulate the winners again. We have Matthew G, second place. Maria V, second place. Sam S, first place. Brandon Young, first place. Kat C, second place. Matthew F, second place. Seabiscuit, second place. Second place will get a booklet, a poster, and an album, a CD. And first place will get that plus the t-shirt of their choice on my Teespring. You'll see the link in the description, plus one copy of this album, which I bought too many copies of on purpose because it was on sale a couple of years ago.
How could you not? Such a cool album.
I thought it would be a good giveaway item. And maybe in the future I can get my own vinyls pressed. That's probably pretty expensive, but that'll be a cool process.
Jack White does it there at Third Man Studios Records.
I saw a video, so it's a doable thing. It's possible, I guess. You know,
yeah,
that'd be pretty cool to get a vinyl. Yeah,
your own.
All right, but until next time, this is John Razimus with Mysterialis Ghost Investigation. And be seeing you.